All right. Good morning. Welcome into 2026 Fall Media Day this year. Before we get going, I want to thank our sponsor, Walker Chevrolet. We've got Bobby Borbeck here. He is in the back. We could not do this without Walker Chevrolet, without their financial contributions and just their general support. We also want to thank Adidas and Matthews Team Sports. 104.5 The Zone did a live remote this morning. It was all Williamson County Sports. That is much appreciated. Also, another shout out to Christian Taylor, who helped put forth these media guides and also our posters as well. And then we got Lance West, our sound guy here, Will and Creed from WCTV. And also, it's a special day. It's Tom Krieger's birthday. We've got a seat for him right up front and some cupcakes and a nice little card. So we appreciate him being here and all he's done. But again, thank you to all the media that are here today. This morning, we'll have each team come up in a 20-minute window and have a chance to answer questions. Also, from 9:30 to 10:15, we will have girls volleyball upstairs in this room doing some interviews. So if some of you guys want to sneak up there and get a quick interview with some of them, that would be fantastic. And then from 10:45 to 11:30, we will have girls soccer. So we encourage you guys to go up there and give them some attention if you can, because obviously volleyball and girls soccer are two premier sports that Williamson County does very well in. But first on the stage this morning is the Fairview Yellow Jackets. We are joined by assistant coach Michael Jackson, who has been with Coach Hughes for 14 years. I know we're going to miss Coach Hughes's one-liners this morning, but I know Coach Jackson's a pretty funny guy himself, so it should be good. Fairview finished 9-3 last year in Region 6-3A and fell to Dyersburg in the second round of the playoffs. Joining Coach Jackson is John Barrick, Blaze Parker, and Lincoln Kelly. Coach Jackson will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions. Coach?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. We're excited to be here. We're excited to get this 2026 football season going. I was talking to the guys when we came up. We all rode together. I stopped at the schoolhouse and picked them up this morning, and on the way in, I was talking to them about our schedule and some of the expectations this year, and about how exciting it is. I will tell you, the best thing about starting the school year is you start the school year. This year we're about a week later, and we start right there on, with football season right on the horizon. And piggybacking off last year's team, last year we won the region, and we hope to do the same thing with the team this year. When you look at our schedule this year, I was talking to these guys, and they brought it up to me. Because we had to take a change, we had to do a home-and-home swap with somebody who's on the schedule last year. So we're doing 4 home games and 6 games on the road, which is not advantageous to having the usual 5-5 home games. But we're still excited about the season. We feel like we got a good class, starting with 3 of these young guys right here, senior class, and we got a really good sophomore and freshman class to help them out, and not to leave our juniors out, because we got some really good junior players as well. I don't want to take away from them, but we, for the outlook of the season, we're really excited, and our expectation is, if you look at our region, we expect to win the region going into the year.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll open it up for questions. Not everybody wants.
Hey, Patrick's right. Coach Hughes has got some great one-liners. That's where I'm going to fall short right here. And I tell you, Coach Hughes is a man on the mic, and I'm going to be have a tough time following up what he would be able to say. But, yeah, feel free to shoot the questions at us. I know you, Mr. Krieger. You can, hey, birthday boy, you can take it to give us. Hey, you can give us a few questions.
First, for everyone, how was your summer? What did you do in your summer break?
Yeah. Start with you, JB.
Had a good summer. Been putting in a lot of work for this next football season. I also played basketball and baseball, so I'm looking forward to all that, putting in a lot of work. I've been hanging out with, trying to boost our chemistry for this upcoming year. We've been hanging out with the guys. Our football team just went to our rec center in Fairview, and we just had a team bonding. I think we're going to do good. I think some of the years we've struggled with our team chemistry. And I think this year we're going to be looking good, even with all of the other disabilities. I think we'll be strong-hearted, close.
Yeah, I've had a good summer so far. A lot of football practice, weightlifting with Coach Jackson. That's been fun. He's always keeping us on our feet with new exercises, and activities to do outside. But yeah, like John said, we've had a lot of team activities, like the rec. That was really fun. Brought us all together. I do. I've been working at Dunkin' Donuts, so I've been making y'all's coffees in the morning. Gets me quick little money on the side, but I've had fun. I had a good summer.
What's the best donut at Dunkin' Donuts?
You know. No, not the jelly filled. I'm not a donut fan, to be completely honest with you, but I'd have to give it to probably just the glazed donut. A little boring, but.
I've had a pretty good summer. Just a lot of football, a lot of work, and sleeping, really. That's about it.
Coming around, how do you get back acclimated to the regular school grind?
Just fix my sleep schedule and I'll be good to go.
All right. Any other questions? Also, we'll try and go into the mic here so we can get it on the live stream.
Coach, players, I'm Dana McClendon with WAKM. The way your schedule lines up, you do have that that away split. That's one extra game away, but it looks like you get 4 games before you start region, and then you just pile into the region. Are you going to do anything differently because of that, or are you just going to try to get yourself the team the best you can be entering region?
Yeah, now, the schedule lines up that way. About the time, when the season start, we start off with a game right down the road, which is, a good game on the schedule, East Hickman, and then Centennial comes to Fairview this year. And then our third game of the season, you said that we have 4 games before our region schedule starts. I know we yes, you're right. Those 4 non-region games, because the season doesn't start from your seeding and your postseason aspirations until you start region play. And I hope by then, we can take those 4 games and kind of figure out who we are. I would like to figure out who we are before then, figure out what our strong points, and we kind of have an idea. We meet this weekend as a coaching staff whenever Coach Hughes returns. And we've been talking, like the guy said, the guys alluded to this. As a staff, we met yesterday morning and planned the team bonding thing that we did at the rec center with the guys, and all went to the pool, and it was, like both of these guys over here alluded to, it was a great time for the better part of 2.5 hours. But we're really excited about getting the ball rolling. This Sunday night, we'll meet there at the schoolhouse, and we'll kind of outlay, our expectation. We open up with a scrimmage against Marshall County, who is a 4A powerhouse. And I'll tell you, it is a good scrimmage for us because Coach Olstein, he always brings a good squad. They come back to Fairview this year. And I'm telling you, it kind of outlays where we think we are, When we leave the scrimmage against Marshall County, because we'll probably do, 3 series of 1s or 3 series of 10 plays, and we may at the end of the scrimmage put the ball in the dirt, which is fake grass everywhere in this county now, but put the ball on the line and go down the distance, because that's always a good time too to kind of figure yourself out. But they, not talking about them, they're a good quality 4A football team, and Coach Osteen does a good job, and it kind of lets us know where we're at.
Coach, Blaine Keller, Main Street Preps. Looks like you might have a new quarterback this year. Where are you guys at when it comes to the summer and kind of figuring out that position?
Yeah, we lose a 3-year starter at quarterback, Jax McCoy, and the guys on the right over here, they were talking with each other as I was asking them some questions, and they were talking, we have to replace the quarterback. And right now, we feel strong with our guys. I will tell you, we got a sophomore quarterback, Giles Brown, and then we got a junior quarterback transfer for Franklin. What's his last name? I know him as Isaac. He transferred to Fairview last spring. He's a good young man. They've been splitting the reps through the whole flag football, the 707 season. I say flag football, the 707 season, and they each one of them, have strong points or have had better moments than others, and each one of them have had learning moments as well. But I will tell you, we want to figure out by the East Hickman game who is going to be taking the snaps, right? When we take the ball. But I feel strong about both of those guys.
I had a question for Blaze here. Had 2 almost 1,000-yard rushers as a team at Fairview last year. A lot of that goes into the offensive line too, I'm sure. So what can you say about this unit that ties into those 2 running backs in their play?
I mean, we have a really solid offensive line this year, a lot more speed. And the 2 running backs, they're good. That's about it. We're just going to run the ball, throw the ball too.
I like to be able to get off the bus running the ball if we do. Me and Coach Hughes different on that, but yeah.
Coach, this is George Robinson at the Tennessean High School Sports Editor at the Tennessean. Talk a little bit about what you've experienced, obviously with the one-time transfer rule now in place, and, a lot of, schools all across the state, not that they haven't, dealt with transfers, in years prior, but has anything changed? Have you seen, anything change in terms of, what you've experienced at Fairview with players transferring in, maybe some or maybe some kids going out?
Right. That rule, it's been popular, and well talked about this year. I will tell you, it hasn't affected us. And when I came into the Innovation Center this morning, I saw a few of the guys, and I spoke with a guy who works in our schoolhouse as well. I hadn't talked to any of them and talked to them about how it affected them. It hasn't affected us directly. We haven't, had anybody come in, nor have we had anybody leave. Our guys, we've been pretty consistent with who's been coming to workouts and who's been doing 7-on-7. We've had a couple of lineman competitions, and I'm a lineman coach, but that hasn't affected us a lot this year. I'm sure other schools or other coaches might be able to take and tell you how it has affected them either positively or negatively. And, when we start doing Williamson County things this next week, when we start the teacher in-services and stuff, I'll talk to some of the other coaches more. I have some of them I know better than the other ones, and, that'll be something we ask them. But we haven't been affected by it.
How have you addressed it with your coaching staff about, despite the fact that you haven't really been affected by it, it exists, so there's always the possibility
it's out there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the families know it's out there as well. And I will tell you this, Coach Hughes, and these guys will tell you this as well, when we take and start our meetings, or we bring the guys in the weight room, whether we're starting on the lines during our warm-up or we're starting in the weight room, he might have a short, statement, or we always end with bringing them together before we break it down. He will always tell them, hey, it's open, and if you think the grass is green on the other side, he'll support you in any way if you want to take and go that route, especially if you have a family that's pushing. And I will tell you, I don't think anyone in Williamson County has had a family that I know of, because I know a lot of the families is around the mid-state area as well. No, it's going to affect some of the teams, but I will tell you, in Williamson County, we have a good thing going. And we're the small school. We're really community-based school in Williamson County. I think we're one of the last community-based schools around in the mid-state. And I will tell you, we in our county, and I appreciate what Patrick does, and I appreciate, I really look forward to, like I said, getting to talk with some of these other coaches. And I was going to go talk to a coach earlier and didn't get a chance to, but I know it's going to affect them just because of surroundings and whatnot, but it's always kind of went on because of the private-public thing. But I will tell you, we in our county, you get an education that's second to none. In Williamson County, we're top of the line. If you look at our test scores, you look at the education you receive, and that stems all the way down to Fairview High School. We have such a good thing going in our county. I don't think it's with the grass is green on the other side. I don't think that's a thing that the families really want to take and try to test, for lack of better words.
Real quick for the players, we do miss Chris here. We love having you here, Coach. But I was wondering, do you guys have a favorite? What's your favorite Coach Hughes one-liner?
Coach Hughes one-liner.
Or a funny thing you think you've just heard him say before?
I mean, my favorite at the end of every practice, no matter if it was good or bad, he always ends with, "I love you and God loves you." And, I mean, that just shows us that he really cares about us. And even if we had the worst practice ever imaginable, he's there for us, you know. He's got our back.
Even after the bad ones.
It's kind of funny seeing him get mad too. Not like because when he gets mad, it's kind of scary, but it's funny at the same time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate you guys being here
Thank
today.
you guys, Patrick. Thank you guys for the questions.
All right, best of luck this season. I could probably give you a few Coach Hughes one-liners, but this is a PG show, so I'm not going to. So, all right, next up, we have the Centennial Cougars. All right, we are joined by first-year coach Chad Broderick. Centennial finished 7-6 last year and went to the state semifinals in Class 5A. Coach Broderick is joined by Josh Montero, Moses Miller, and Christian Brukel. Coach Broderick will make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, first, just thanks for all the media being here. This is an awesome setup. Thank you, Patrick Whitlock, for doing it. And then I think it's really cool that, you know, the students in the back that got all the Chick-fil-A set up and all helped set all this up. So thank you, students, for doing that. I think every school, it seems like, is represented, so that's really cool. Players up here, we got Moses Miller, who plays running back, Josh Montero, who's playing running back and outside linebacker, and then Christian Bruckle, who's playing tight end and outside linebacker. As far as the team's been, they've been great. I wish we could bring every senior. I know how this works. We had to bring 3. We brought 3 other ones to the Titans Media Day last week. But our senior class has been phenomenal in every way. Normally when you come in, that's the ones that are kind of the hardest to kind of get on board, but our seniors have been the easiest, and they're a great group of kids. They've dealt with a lot of adversity through high school, but also had a tremendous year last year that we're trying to build off of. But since I've been there in January, the team has worked really hard. We've had roughly, 32 practices since spring, June, and then into July, and they've been tremendous. And so they've been fun to be around. They've worked hard. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They're trying to learn a whole new defensive system, some new special team stuff. A lot of the offense is very similar. And so a lot of the staff is the same from last year, but we also had some turnover. We're really happy for Monterio and his opportunity at James Lawson. We got to be really close, and then at the very end, he got offered that job, and we're super excited for him. But Greg Burns has stepped into the OC role. Trustin Kemp, who I actually coached in high school, is our defensive coordinator, and then our special teams coordinator came to us from Texas, Greg Gruendijk. And so super excited about the staff. They've been tremendous. But our kids have just worked hard, and they're as good a kids as I've ever been around. They're good in the classroom, like most kids in Williamson County. They're good on the field, and they've been tremendous leaders for us, and so I'm super appreciative of them. And so with that, we'll open it up for questions from you guys.
All right. Any questions from the media?
Coach, have you completed the TSSAA kind of has you guys watching the recruiting overview from the NFHS. Did you watch that, and how clear was it? And with the social media kind of aspect of recruiting now, are there any questions you have about that part of it, about gray areas or anything like that?
Yeah, no, we did. I say we did watch. I think everybody on our staff has done all of them, so I've definitely watched it. And so what we're trying to do is follow the rules. And so I know there's a lot of gray area, it feels like, in there with what's going on in certain part of the state, I feel like, just being honest. But I feel like what we're going to do, just to answer, maybe not answer the question fully, what I want to do is love our kids. And so I should have said this in the opening statement. Like, our number one goal in the program is love above all else. If we're talking about with our team and connection. And so I'm not worried about, I just want to love our kids. And so I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the state with recruiting and things like that. And we're just trying to keep our roster together, to be quite honest, and love our kids. And so social media is a crazy thing. I feel like just being honest, I feel like there's coaches out there making burner accounts and contacting kids, and we're never going to do any of that. And so we're just trying to love our kids and build our program. But I do think it's helpful they did that, because it's got in. This is level 1, level 2, and it shows you everything. And so I'm appreciative they did that. But yeah, the recruiting stuff is crazy, but I also think it's a good thing in some ways. And I don't mean the recruiting part, but I think kids should have an opportunity. Like, if I'm mistreating Moses, hopefully we never do that. But if I'm mistreating a kid, I 100% hope they can get out of that situation. And I don't think many coaches in the state are doing that. But stuff like that does come up. And so if kids feel like something's unfair, I'm glad they have an opportunity to go better themselves if that's what they choose to do.
But is there anything about those rules related to social media that are unclear to you right now? Like, or does that
No,
component?
I
does
think
it
the only
seem
weird part for
straightforward?
me is like, I care about the kids that I've coached previously, and so you can't really you're not supposed to follow a kid unless he's at your school in terms of your players. So that's kind of weird, that you feel like you love these other kids, you want to be there for them for the rest of their lives, but yet you're not allowed to follow them because of the rule of that, even if you've coached them. And so that's probably the only thing that's weird to me is, honestly, I want to be at their wedding one day and get a picture when their child's born and things like that. And so not that I can't do that once they graduate, but that part's the only probably the weird. Everything else makes sense to me, to be quite honest. So.
And for the players, last year that finish that y'all had down the stretch in the postseason was pretty special. What did you learn from that you can take into this year that could maybe help carry over?
I think I learned just how to fight through adversity. We lost our coach early on. It was a weird transition there, but I think team bonding and just coming together as one, I'd say that's the biggest thing I learned through that.
I learned that anything is possible. After, like Moses said, so much adversity coming after, a devastating loss of a head coach, and then turning around their season to something productive is something special that I feel we can carry on this season and for the future of Centennial football.
We learned that our strongest support for our program going ahead is mostly the players. So even if we don't have a head coach, we're supposed to carry on regardless of what happens.
Hey, Coach, Dana McClendon, WAKM. I'm going to ask you to do something that it seems like you probably might be reluctant to do. Brag on yourself. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get here? And then to transition, this senior class, as the people in this room know, they've been through a lot. What have you guys done to kind of turn the page and get some stability here for these kids and the ones that come behind them? And then some rage bait, clickbait maybe. What have you guys got for Paige this year?
I'm not going to talk about what we have for Paige. Here's what I'll say. I'll answer them. Okay, I'll answer them all in kind of reverse order. Man, our schedule's tough, and so if we're worried about Paige, we're going to lose every game up until we play Paige, to be quite honest. And so it's got to be week to week. If you look at our schedule, and I was talking to Tate, and I don't mean this, I hope the kids don't, we could lose every game, we could win every game. But that's the fun part about having a schedule like that. We've got to go compete every week, and so we're going to take the first game. Honestly, we're going to take the first scrimmage as it comes. Lebanon on Friday is going to be a huge challenge for us, a 6A team that I know they're really excited about what they got coming. And then Stewart's Creek, we open the year with them, and so we're going game by game on that. So if they want to say anything, I don't know, y'all, hey, answer it smartly. The second question, though, in terms of our seniors, I couldn't be any more impressed with a group of kids because they've got every reason not to trust an adult. Just being honest, they've got every reason not to trust an adult. And I feel like they trust us. And so when I interviewed new coaches coming in, the only thing that I was trying to figure out is, are you going to love the kids? And so, we did talk a little bit of football. I don't want a dummy out there or anything like that. But the main thing I said is we're going to care about the kids. We're going to put the kids first, and if you can do that, we'll be fine. And so the new coaches, I hope they feel like love them like the rest of the staff loves them because they've been tremendous. And so, inside of our program, that's all we talk about is love. Now, how we want to play a game, is a little bit differently. But we're going to love them. And so we've done a few things to help with that. We had a team bonding thing. We went bowling. And, I think, just being honest, media, I think I had like the 4th highest score of everybody there bowling. So I'm a pretty good athlete. I won't brag on myself too, but I can hit a tennis ball, I can hit a baseball, I can throw a football, and I can bowl. And so these wimps couldn't do as good as me. And so that was fun. But we also had a mom's night, and we taught the moms a little bit of football. That was kind of a pretty big challenge. You start going, hey, you're going to align in a 2-eye, and they have, it's like, what is a 2-eye? And so we had a fun night there. They ran some plays, and then our players wrote a letter to their mom. And so that was a really cool experience. And then we had decals with heroes just, Thursday night. And another really cool experience, talked a little bit of football with the heroes. And then we had a meal, and then we had some questions that the heroes and the players had to ask each other to try to create meaningful conversations. And so all that stuff's trying to just build a connection within the team and a love and a trust and a bond. And so that's been, it's just been, you keep saying it, and I think probably every head coach feels the same way. And we're lucky to be in Williamson County. I'm lucky to have kids that love each other and that love the coaches, and the coaches love them. And so it's been a blast, and they've worked hard, and they've done everything we've asked of them. And then bragging on myself, I'm not very, minus, I'm a good bowler apparently. Bragging on myself, probably not very good at. What I will say is we're just going to work hard as a staff. I mean, I get there at 6 in the morning. I've been leaving about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we're going to work hard, but we're going to work hard for the kids. And so we're not doing that, in any selfish motivations, just want to be there for the kids and work hard. I think mistakes I've made in the past is I'm a defensive guy, and I haven't ever called the defense as a head coach. I haven't been very involved in the defense. If these guys answered that right now, is Coach Broderick involved in the defense, I think they would say yes. And so I'm trying to do what I'm good at. Long story short, I want to do what I'm good at as a head coach, and the things I need to delegate, I'm trying to delegate them. And so really just focusing on that. What do I do well, and build it around that, and then trust the other coaches to do their job. And so this is the best staff I've ever been a part of in terms of as a head coach. And so it's been great, and it's kind of cool. I coached Trustin Kemp at Gallatin. I don't know if you covered Gallatin back then, though, Blaine, but I coached Trustin Kemp. And he was a great player. Honestly, his senior year, we gave up 6.9 points a game as a defense, which is pretty good. And now he's the defensive coordinator. I'm doing a lot of it in terms of the front end stuff, but he knows it all and is doing a great job. And so that part's pretty cool for me to have a former player on staff. And so I think the kids can see that too, that it's not just going to be a one-year relationship for these seniors. I hope I'm there for them forever. And I think I answered everything there. Yeah, I'm from White House, Tennessee, and so I played for Jeff Porter at White House, and we went 13-1 my senior year. And back then, White House, we were in 4A. We were 3A enrollment. We were in 4A, and we were pretty good. And it was honestly, man, my 4 years of high school were fun. My best friends, playing football for the coaching staff, and I think what I was blessed with, and I feel bad for these guys in some ways, is when I was at White House High School, not only was the head coach there for 4 years, but every assistant coach was there for 4 years. And so they were all at my wedding, which is really cool. They all have seen my kids and been a part of my life after football. And I think that's one of the reasons, that's one of my bigger goals. Like, man, winning a game is great, but if that's all we're trying to do as a football coach, we've lost the big picture. So anyway, graduated from college at Austin Peay, went to station camp for a year, had the opportunity to go back to White House, be the defensive coordinator at a really young age, did that. Got the head coaching job at East Robertson as a really young age, and took over a program that was in shambles, and really proud of what we did there. Really got to a place where we were, honestly, we beat Joe Burns for the first time in 19 years. Trousdale County, that's when they were playing for state championships, and should have beat them. Didn't quite get it done. And then went to Gallatin, and that's where I coached Trustin and had a great time with Chad Watson there as the head coach. And then went to White House Heritage, and Blaine knows that, and probably the worst coaching job I've ever done in my life, with a lot of bad luck, to be honest. Our best player, Colby Holsey, who Blaine will remember, got hurt like the third play of the year. Best player, best kid, best leader, and lost the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator before the season started, didn't have a teaching job, all fell through with admin, and I was just, man, I was beat up, to be honest, and we had tons of injuries, and then went to Father Ryan with Coach Rector and got a master class in head coaching, to be honest, in terms of what that looked like and what it should look like in a lot of ways, and then ended up here at Centennial. And so it's just been a long journey, but one, I told the kids the other day, a lot of success and a lot of failure, and then you learn from that adversity, like what mistakes do you make, and if you have adversity and fail, what do you learn from that? How can you grow from it? And I think that's one of the positives of bad stuff happening, is you can grow from that, and but a lot of fun stuff too along the way. So it's been coaching's fun and coaching's hard, and every coach knows that. There's days you feel like you're on top of the world, and the next day you might be on the bottom of the world, like literally a one-day swing. And so it's been really fun, though. Y'all want to say anything about Page Smartly, just about the schedule in general?
I know Page is a good group. They got some dogs, but I know we got some dogs too, and I expect fast, physical, hat-on-hat football, and you can expect that.
Hey guys, this is for the players. Starting in June, you start working out. You got the dead period there at the end of June, and then July hits, and you got 7-on-7s, and you get into late July, early August, and it's the heat. I want to know, from the players' point of view, what is the absolute funnest part of the preseason, and what is the absolute worst part of preseason?
I'd say the best part about preseason is just scrimmages, watching everybody get in, make plays, and then fall camp's always rough sometimes, but I'd say those are the top two.
My favorite part is just competing every day, going out, playing fast, playing as hard as I can, trying to, be better than the men in front of me, but also love the men in front of me because it's my team at the end of the day. The worst part is probably the heat at times. That's probably it.
I'd say my favorite part is learning something new every single day, especially with the new coaches. They've always got something to add for whatever we're doing. And definitely the worst part, I would say it's the running at the end of practice.
With Coach Broderick, sitting right there next to you, if you guys can kind of give me a sense of what's maybe his sense of humor like.
You said his system?
Sense of humor.
Oh, I'd say he's a funny guy. He'll get on us. It's tough love, but he's a funny guy. I like his sense of humor.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's honest. That's what I can say. He's very honest. So, yeah.
I'd say he's got some jokes. I mean, he's a dad, so he's got some of the dad jokes. But he's always lighting the mood whenever things are rough. But yeah.
What's maybe the funniest joke he's told that you can repeat?
I think they can repeat most of them. I don't know if I'm a big joke guy, but I just in the moment. I don't know. Y'all figure something out.
Crickets.
Scott Burton, 615 Preps. You said you mentioned before, the coaching changes that you've gone through as players. What difference have you noticed with Coach Broderick now that he's leading you? What does he bring that maybe you guys that's been a little different, or I don't want to say improvement or anything like that, but just a difference in his coaching style versus what you've seen before?
I'd say, he truly loves us. He's there for us, Sometimes it's tough love, but like I said, he's there for us. And then I'd say a coaching difference I noticed is just the way we run practice, more methodical than last year. Practice was kind of all over the place, but this year it's very precise and methodical.
I'd say when he came in, he brought in a lot of energy. So he came in and he brought a lot of structure. And, the past 3 years, there hasn't been as much as we would like, but he, has been supportive of everyone.
Yeah, structure, first word that came to mind. He's very structured. He knows what he wants to do every practice, what we will do for the week, for the following weeks. Another thing, he's very respectful as well. Like you said, tough love, but he'll be very respectful, and he'll let you know when you're messing up. He'll let you know when he feels like you can do better, and it's just, that's a different perspective.
Hey, Coach Lombardi, Mid-10 Friday Night Football coach and a Centennial teacher. Hey, Coach Broderick, got a question. That Centennial had a great run last year, right? And you coming into first-time environment in Williamson County, ridiculous talent, and 5A. What kind of expectations do you have going into this season?
Yeah, so the only thing I ever talk to the kids about, like inside the program, is love, and then outside of that, like when we're playing somebody, we don't talk about our goal is to win this many games, do this or do that. So we talk about how we want to play the game and what our mentality is on that. And so one of the things that I talk to them all the time about is be hard to kill. And so we're going to be hard to kill, and how are you hard to kill? You got to practice that way. And so things got to be tough in practice. If practice is super easy, the games are going to be a nightmare. And so I think they would say, practices have not been super easy, and so we want to be hard to kill. And then one of the things I talked to them about is they'll quit before we'll quit. And so that's not a disrespect. I just want our kids to believe that. And so for them to believe that, though, they're only going to believe it if they worked a certain way. And so they've been working hard in practice. Practices have not been easy. We're trying to get as many reps as possible. Then they're in the weight room. Then they run. And so we're just trying to build a team that believes they can win in the fourth quarter. Because if you look at our schedule, I truly believe every game's going to be close. And so how are we going to separate ourselves in those close games? By creating adversity in practice, and so that we're prepared for it when it comes on Friday night. And so never going to talk about, we got to win this many games for it to be successful, or do this or do that. We just want to play the game the way we want to play it and try to create that expectation in the program.
Coach Chris Brooks, 615 Preps. You mentioned playing for Jeff Porter at White House, and anybody's covered this game for a while has covered Jeff Porter at some point. What did you take from playing for him that you apply to coaching now?
Yeah, we had a tremendous coaching staff as a whole. It wasn't just Jeff Porter, but I think that's saying all that to say is if it's just you're in big trouble. So the whole coaching staff was tremendous. He had high expectations in the program. He is the best fundraiser that's ever lived in the state of Tennessee. That's a fact. And he was a great delegator because he had great people around him. And so delegating sounds like lazy in some ways and like really easy. It's not very easy to be a good delegator. You can sit there and just do everything yourself too much, and I can be guilty of that at times. And so trying to learn and grow how to delegate things and let everybody be work to your strengths. And so he was really good at that. But just, man, there was high expectations every year. But it wasn't, we never talked about we want to do this or do that. It was, man, we're going to be our best every day. And once you do that over time, he didn't even talk about it much. It was kind of the players were leading. That's what I've talked about with our seniors is how can you positively affect somebody around you. So like our kids now work hard. And I'm not saying they didn't before. They've always worked hard. But how can you affect somebody around you in a positive manner every day? Like that's leadership. And so that was a part of White House football, and I think it's becoming a part of Centennial football, and our seniors have been a huge part of that.
Let's go back to that bowling trip for just a minute. Are you a 16-pound ball thrower, or are you throwing lighter weight?
No, I'm very, I'm not, my kids think I'm really strong, but I'm not, I'm not. So I find the lightest ball that I can use that my fingers can fit in because I'm not, Josh probably had like a 29-pound ball. I needed like the 10-pound ball so I could halfway throw it straight, so.
Blaine Keller with Main Street Preps. Got one for the players here. Your coach mentioned just the trust that you've put in this coaching staff to start. And with all that you've gone through, not only from last season, but the last few years at Centennial, was that hard to do, to put your trust into a new coaching staff?
I wouldn't really say it was hard. We've had a lot of coaches, but knowing Coach Baja, you could trust someone like him, and I think it was an easy, smooth transition.
To some difficulty, there's always a change in coaching, and it's hard. And he came in, and the way he came in and he brought the energy, it was easier than, switching to other coaches.
Yeah, the way he presented himself, his introduction to the team, the guy, he's a solid guy. You can tell by the way he speaks. He's respectful. He's kind. So I guess it wasn't difficult to not trust him, but also you have to have trust in order to play football in the first place, or even to go out and do his plays, because he came around and brought a whole new defense, stuff we never seen before. But I personally trust him, and I'm sure my teammates trust him as well.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate you guys being here today. Best of luck in the preseason against Stewart's Creek in Week 1. Great job. All right, next up is Ravenwood. We are joined by Coach Ricky Rodriguez, who is in his second year as head coach at Ravenwood. Ravenwood won the Region 6A championship last year and then fell in the state championship game. Coach Rodriguez is joined by Caden Pace, Dallas Stallings, and Grant Lucas. Coach Rodriguez will make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Coach Whitlock. Thank you, media members, outside the line staff. This is an incredible setup. I think all the coaches have hit on it. That's what makes this county, really special when it comes to supporting their athletes. I'm super excited also with the additions of, having the girls soccer teams and the girls volleyball programs here. Shout out to you ladies up there. I don't know if you can hear me, but as a female head coach as well, I think it's really special to have all of those students involved. And, when it comes to our football program this year, a lot of excitement, a lot of internal expectations. I think obviously when you graduate as many seniors as we did last year, outside expectations might be a little less than they are internally, which we like. I think kind of the storyline for Ravenwood High School football this year is, starting with these three young men that I have the privilege of educating and coaching every single day, is, these are kids that, have had to make a lot of sacrifices in terms of personal accolades, playing time. You know, yes, Caden Pace is going to be a 3-year starter for us, but I mean, he's had to split a lot of time in his first 2 years in our football program behind some other guys, you know, and for him, you know, to be able to stay in the program and obviously with his family's lineage at Ravenwood High School is something that's extremely special in our football program. And then kids like Dallas Stallings, you know, who came to us, you know, at the start of his sophomore year and had to sit behind a lot of guys that are now playing on Saturdays. And, you know, for him to buy into our football program, stay the course, you know, probably avoid some direct messages and text messages from other programs to entice him to other places, just speaks to the volume of his character. And then we got a kid like Grant Lucas, right, who's a 4-year player in our football program that, you know, split some time at the inside linebacker position last year, playing side by side, arguably the best defensive player that's ever come through Ravenwood High School, and to just soak in everything that Matthew taught him. And I mean, I couldn't be more proud of this group of young men that I get the honor and privilege to coach and educate every single day. So we're excited about the upcoming season. We just came back from our 3-day team camp, so I apologize for the hoarseness in my voice. I'm sure we're all a little bit tired, you know, from the last 3 days' activities, but we talked about it before we left, right? We wanted to leave Ravenwood High School and climb up that mountain, maybe with a little bit of insecurities, uncertainties, maybe a little bit of lack of trust on what this team was going to be able to accomplish this year. But we for sure left that mountain, you know, tighter than any program and any team that I've ever had the privilege to coach. And it's because of them. It has nothing to do with the coaches. I mean, this team is really, really closely connected, and I can't wait to have the opportunity to walk side by side them, hopefully for the next 19 weeks.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations, by the way, on yet another flag football, right? You got a dynasty going there. Getting last year as your first year, right, to Chattanooga, right? And unfortunately, the way it went, it's got to leave a horrible taste in your mouth. Sometimes getting to that actually can be a benefit for a team the following year because the expectations are like, I never want to have that taste again. How do you, though, as a coach from a week to week, it's about guiding the team there. How do you keep the kids focused in? It ain't looking, you know, in December. It's your first game. How do you temper that? And the players, how do they maintain the focus with that?
I mean, you can ask them about our conversation in that locker room in Chattanooga walking off the field, right? I mean, there was a lot of emotion, you know, and I think for myself, more than maybe the kids did, right, is I kind of took that personal. You know, I struggled. You know, it took them to really build me back up, if that makes sense. And I mean, that's hard for a 40-year-old man to admit that it took a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds to really lift me up from the darkest of depths after losing that game. I mean, you think about it like this. You go 14 weeks. It's really hard to win 14 straight games playing 6A football in arguably one of the best states in the South when it comes to high school football, and then to go into that game and feel like you failed, you know, 120 kids. But, you know, I think the bus ride on the way back, you know, a lot of these guys pulled me aside and said, hey, Coach, you know, when we return from Christmas break, you're going to see that wasn't fake, you know. You know, a lot of people think that we may have rode some coattails, right? I mean, including myself. Let's call it what it is, right? I mean, Coach Hester coached that program, you know, he was the head coach for 6 months, for 5.5 months of that school. So taking over, I never really felt like the program was fully mine at any point last year, right? Whereas that first day back in the weight room, I think it was January 4th, these kids made me feel like the program was ours finally, you know, and they made a goal and they made a commitment, and I have seen nothing but the hardest working individuals, both in the classroom, in the weight room. We're pretty unique in what we do from a strength and speed standpoint. And Coach Q, if you guys know him, he's the secret sauce of this program. So, seeing these kids grow throughout the offseason and watching them and never really talking. I think I bring it up more than they do for sure about, the 69-21 score, right? But they're focused on the task at hand. We have a countdown clock to our first game, and we have a really good team coming in from Mississippi that we had the opportunity to go down there and play, and we beat them. We were down 17-0 in the first quarter, and as a first-year head coach at a 6A powerhouse like Ravenwood High School, there was a lot of chirping in the stands, like, who is this guy, down 17-0, and then these kids to rally back from a game like that. And they have a legendary head coach over there who's the father of our offensive coordinator, Herb Davis, and, if I know him, he's motivating those kids from what we did last year. So these kids are excited to get the opportunity to play an out-of-state program in MRA, and that's always been our primary focus, and we'll worry about things as they come on a week-to-week basis.
Actually, can I ask a question real quick of the players?
Please do.
So, players, obviously being in this area, there's so much talent, right? And there's so many opportunities to go to colleges. How do you feel as players when you're starting, when you're seeing Mississippi State and maybe looking at other players, right? You guys got studs on your squad. How do you look at that and not put too much pressure on yourself and keep your eyes just like, it doesn't matter what's going on out there. I got to keep focused in because I'm a Raptor. It's not about where you're going to go afterwards. It's how do you keep the focus on that knowing there's all this potential distraction as well?
I feel like we have a really good thing going on right now with our specific players and our team chemistry. I feel like we're not really worried about the other people outside of us. It's just us, and we're going to focus on what we're going to do. And we're just going to go game by game and just feel it out.
I think, to your point, it's something that's really special about this group is, we do have a lot of talented players at Ravenwood High School that, have offers, and those have never, ever been a topic of conversation. We talk about this all the time, like somebody like Dallas Stallings who has 10-plus Division I offers, right? He was a role player for his first 2 years in our program, right? Relegated to a lot of special teams duties and, probably our third defensive back in situations last year, right? But for somebody like him to never worry about that, hey, could I go to this other program where I could start as a junior and showcase my ability? That has never been a topic of conversation with any of our kids. And I think that speaks to our culture as a football program, right? We pride ourselves on, what Ravenwood High School sells as a whole, I think we're the best academic public institution in the entire state of Tennessee. When you have an average ACT score of almost 28, right? That's pretty good, right? When you have a team GPA of close to 3.8, right? You're gonna get the highest quality of education. I think we have one of the best, if not the best, strength coaches in the entire state of Tennessee. So you're going to be developed from an off-season standpoint. And then, surrounding them with the best men. My staff is incredible. I have 5 or 6 guys on my staff that are probably going to take my job if I fail at this, So having the opportunity to be coached by great individuals, get a high-quality education, and a lot of you guys have been to Ravenwood High School on Friday nights, right? The atmosphere there, it was eye-opening for me coming from California and walking in there for the first time, playing these other Williamson County teams. That's special. Kids, it's about the entire experience from when you step on campus at 6 a.m. to lift to when you leave the facility at 5 o'clock, and what we offer those kids from an experience standpoint that separates us. They're going to get their individual accolades if they take care of business in the classroom and on the field, like all of them have.
This one's for the players. Coach Rodriguez talked about how this program felt like his, a little bit more like his in January, with all the seniors that left and have now kind of left in some of y'all's hands. What have you kind of done, or what are you trying to do to make this program feel a little bit more like yours as well?
We're turning the team to more of a player-led team, trying to create our own culture and just set the standard for everybody and just take over a little bit and make it ours.
Yeah, what he was saying with we've been more player-led, and we've just been trying to focus on the first game, and be more of a team. I think that team camp helped our culture a lot, and we came a lot more close.
I feel like from January we've been going day by day and just building a lot of team chemistry, and we really looked up to those guys last year because they were really good players, and we're just learning from them, trying to go game by game and just win the regional championship.
For Ricky, is there anything right now with, I know you guys have the NFHS recruiting video to be reviewed or have been reviewed, but is there anything with the recruiting rules right now that you feel like is a gray area, or that's not, you feel like it's kind of up for debate specifically? It could be anything in general, but specifically with the social media component now.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is, there's a lot of conversation, around our state, amongst other coaches, about this recruiting stuff. Well, if any of you guys know about California high school football, this stuff's been going on for 25 years, so I have a lot of experience in that. My previous section in California, we had those social media rules already in place. So, we had already had conversations with our coaching staff about, when you see these interactions on social media, or people tagging our program, or you individually, not to tread in those waters, right? I mean, I said it previously, we don't need to go out and really do those things at Ravenwood High School. I think our program and it sells itself. I think in terms of some of the gray areas, right? We the valid change of residency rule, right? If it's a kid's second time transferring, is a kid whose family has to move because of a job relocation or something like that, and moves into our zone, and it's his second, third, fourth school, whatever it may be. Like, how are those things gonna kind of be handled, right? I think, in my opinion, public schools might be at a little disadvantage from that standpoint. I mean, using our zone in Williamson County as an example, right? It's almost $2 million, to per home, medium house price in our zone, right? That's very difficult for people to financially, afford to move into our zone. Whereas, private schools, they don't really have set zones. So you can get kids that move from a long way away that, can find a place to live in a relatively cheaper community and then go into that private school. So those are some of the gray areas, that I'm still, trying to figure out. But when it comes to educating our coaches at Ravenwood High School, it helps having our athletic director, Andy Elrod, on our staff, who's very diligent in, reminding our coaches about these things and educating us. But I don't envision that ever being a problem with our staff in terms of understanding the rules, just based on my experience in my previous stops, and having that as, a foundational understanding that you don't do that, so.
Hey guys, this is for Coach Rodriguez and the players. I know you've got a bit of a ways away until your first game, but right now, is Brooks Brown set to take over at quarterback? What can you tell us about his play and maybe his pedigree as a quarterback?
Brooks came here from Lipscomb last year, and he got to sit behind 2 Division I quarterbacks, and I think that helped him a lot, and we had a lot of doubts. A lot of people had doubted that, we don't have a new quarterback, like who's our quarterback going to be? But I think we got a new QB1. Like, we've seen him in practice, and he's going to be really good.
Yeah, a lot of people have obviously been doubting Brooks Brown, but I've been playing with Brooks Brown for a really long time. I know what he's capable of, and obviously we had Femi and Maverick here last year, and he had to sit behind them, but he's a very smart player, and we know what he can do.
Brooks is a real well-spoken kid, and he's a good team leader. The competition from last year, just like watching those players, Femi and Mav, in front of him, I think he learned a lot from them, and I think that he's going to do good things for us this year.
You think about the lineage at Ravenwood High School. I mean, going back prior to me even moving out here, right? You go from Chris Parson, to Femi Babalola and Maverick Chance, right? I mean, Brooks he's the next man up, and he was I don't want to say born for this moment, but you look at having two older brothers that played Division I quarterback. One at UT Chattanooga, the other one obviously is competing for the starting job. Hank at University of Iowa, he gets that aspect from at home, and then just the leadership from Femi and Mav, like they really threw their arm around Brooks the entire year last year with the expectation that, hey, this is going to be your program for the next 2 years if you do everything right. Now, does he still have a lot of growth to do? Absolutely. If he was up here, he would tell you that first and foremost. But we don't anoint anybody, but he has earned the right to be quarterback one at Ravenwood High School, and I couldn't be more proud of him. He's showing the leadership qualities, which to me, from a quarterback standpoint, you need to be the guy out there that's an extension of me and the rest of the coaching staff on there. And as a junior, he still has, a little bit of a ways to go, but I think he's going to do a great job of rallying these troops before we take the field. And a lot of you guys are going to be taking notice of him as this season continues.
Caden, are you the last of the running backs in the family?
Yes, sir. I'm the baby of 6 kids. So I'm the last.
How many brothers have been running backs at Ravenwood from the Pace family?
So I have 3 older brothers. My oldest was a running back, and then my second oldest was a receiver, and then my third oldest was a running back as well.
Who's the best running back in the family?
Definitely me.
What have you learned from the rest of the family?
A lot of my family moved out when I was around 14 years old, so it was just me and my older brother. And I got pulled up to varsity freshman year, and he was a senior back, and I learned a lot behind him. I had to do a lot of scout team, and it helped me out a lot with mental toughness and all this. And Carter's a good mentor to me.
And then finally, one more for you. Sorry, they've asked my other questions. So for you, how high is your expectations of, this was the storyline last year with Ravenwood was like 41 or 42 seniors. They're all gone. What's the story? What's this going to be this team's storyline? What's going to be what this team's going to be thought of?
2 years ago, we had also graduated a ton of seniors. And here we are again graduating a bunch of seniors. I think we only have 5 returning starters, which leaves a lot of doubts, like we were doubted last year as well. So we're just going to take the season one game at a time, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Coach, just Scott Burton, 615 Preps. We talked a lot about the offense and that, but last year you had a really, really suffocating defense. Talk about the defense this year and how you feel some of the whole, especially Matthew Anderson and some of the top players that you graduated, how you address that this year.
Yeah, well, I think the first and foremost, the most important, hire that I made this offseason is hiring a former head coach in Anthony Brown and adding another former head coach onto our staff that has, a history of calling really, really stout defenses. And for those of you that know AB, he is an absolute presence of a man. He's soft-spoken. He kind of offsets the energy that probably I bring and some of the other staff members. So bringing him into the building and having him kind of set what his standard and expectations are, our defense was the most foundational principle of what we want to accomplish, right? And then doing things differently, right? You look at the teams that we compete with for, region championships, playoff victories, and even state championships. Their best players play on both sides of the ball. So I think we're going to make a transition to where our best 11 guys, whatever, all three of these guys are probably going to have a role on both sides of the ball, and fitting those pieces on the defensive side of the ball, to fill the voids of Matthew Anderson's, Jalen Pollard's, Sam Rowan's, Danny Brown's, and that's what really excites me. But the standard doesn't change. I think if AB was in here, he would tell you, right? He uses it, right? Alignment, assignment, and effort. And that's exactly what the foundational principles of our defense are going to be. So you're going to see some new faces to you guys, but these are kids that have either been in our program or, are new to our program, but from the moment that they step foot on our campus, they understand the Ravenwood way and the Ravenwood culture. And, we're going to live and by our defense, right? We pride ourselves on hanging our hat onto that side of the ball. And, we like to be in those slugfests, a little bit. And breaking in a new quarterback and having a 3-year returning starting running back, when you can stop the run and you can run the football, I think that's a recipe for success in 6A football.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Great job today. Good luck the rest of the preseason and against Madison Richland coming up. All right, next up is Nolensville. Stidham, who is in his second year with the Knights. Nolensville finished 8-5 last year as the Region 5-5A runner-up and was eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. Coach Stidham is joined by Jake Sentinel, Ryan Newell, and Tristan Lithmasai. Close? I messed his name up a lot. Well, Coach Stidham will make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
First of all, Coach Whitlock, we thank you for having this. It's a great deal for our program and our players to be exposed to this. What a beautiful facility to have it in. But we're excited about the upcoming season. We returned 7 starters on offense and 7 on defense. I worry everybody's excited about that. I worry more about the 4 we lost on each side of the ball. But there were some great ones, but we've got some young kids or maybe older kids that are inexperienced that have a chance and have worked really hard to give themselves an opportunity to play for us. We got a really tough schedule. We start on Thursday playing at Lebanon, and then it ends with Page, and it's tough in between. And so we know every Friday night it's a challenge, but this group's been great to work with. We have 28 seniors that show up every day and work and are doing a great job leading our program. These 3 are great representatives. It was probably the hardest decision I've made all summer was who to bring, that we could only bring 3. So these 3 are great ones. Tristan rushed for over 1,000 yards last year as a running back. He also ran track for us as a multi-sport athlete. Ryan Newell is our returning quarterback. He also plays baseball. He's committed to Bowling Green State University as a baseball player, and really excited to have him back. And then Jake Sentinel was the defensive lineman of the year, unanimous in our region. He's a 3-time state placer in wrestling. And so these 3 guys are not only are they great football players, but they're just great young men that will represent our program in a great way today, and we're excited to have them.
All right, we'll open it up for questions.
Coach, I heard you on the radio this morning. Can you talk about your facility upgrades this year with the new turf, the green pellets, and I think you even said some other, like a new track and everything else. Can you just talk about the facility upgrades and what it means for the program?
Absolutely. It starts with our principal, Dr. Jenny Calvert, who headed up our video board. We have a video jumbotron that's in. It's up. It's not working yet. They're digging a trench every day while we're practicing. Excited to have that. And then Williamson County has given us a new turf, because this will be the 11th year of Nolensville High School, so the turf lasted 10. Now we have new ones that we got to design and match our colors and a bigger logo in the middle. It's beautiful. We resurfaced our track. Williamson County did that and just finished painting that, and then LED lights are going in as we speak. So we've been on our grass practice field all summer. We hopefully Monday we'll be able to touch the turf for the first time. And so, you know what, it was fine in June, but then July it decided to rain every day for the last 3 weeks. So it's been a little wet and we've ruined a lot of shoes. But what's been great is I think you don't know what a football team's like until they face adversity. And so it's not much. So we've been on grass, but all of a sudden it starts raining. They kept practicing. This past week, so other sports could use the grass practice field, we had to bump our practice up an hour and start at 6, and they went, whatever, coach. And so we're really excited. Our first home game will be against Summit. We know there will be a great crowd with a Williamson County matchup. So it's a beautiful facility that we know the city of Nolensville will be out and be proud of.
And the green rubber pellets?
Okay, so I think all of them have them now, but our turf was old enough. They all had black at the start, but the green goes on top and lowers the temperature on the turf. And supposedly, Tate said he heard 30%. So it's really nice. You can tell a difference when you're out on it, and those heat waves aren't quite as high. And our kids are excited about being on it for sure.
And players, when you see a program like that much of a facility upgrade with turf and new turf and the video board and resurfacing of the track, what's that going to be like this year? Seeing like a total facelift on the football stadium.
I think it'd be nice, new field, new jumbotron. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just trying to focus on the games, trying to win more games. So, but it's cool to play on the turf and the jumbotron.
I think the jumbotron's cool. Like it's gonna playing in a college stadium. Like I've seen all these other schools have it. I was like, man, that's really cool. And so I'm just excited about that. And the new turf is cool as well. But so I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the new turf, the new jumbotron. We just had a media day for it, and we're gonna have to show videos when we walk out or like third down or whatever, and just to get the crowd more hype. And the turf, I love it. It's beautiful. I drive to practice every day and I just look at it. It's like amazing. So yeah, I'm excited.
And one thing that's really cool about our jumbotron is we raise the money all with businesses and parents and family in the community of Nolensville. There's not a national sponsor. It's all local things. And our TV and video film class is unbelievable, and they're going to use it. So it doesn't just help football, it helps our entire school and community. So that's what gets us really excited.
Hey guys, Blaine Keller with Main Street Preps. Last year probably felt like drinking out of a fire hose with your coach coming on so late. What's the benefit been of having an entire off season with your coach? Have you seen a benefit from that going through the off season program?
Yeah, for sure. Like last year, like Coach sent a little spark in us in the new program, and so hold on. Wait, restate the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just the benefit of having a full off season with your coach.
So we had a great relationship last year, but especially this full off season, like getting to know him really well, and like we know the expectations now, and so we're excited about this season and we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think last year when Coach Stidham came in, it was really like, it was just different. Like it was like he just came in one day, but I didn't get to go to spring ball because at the time I was playing baseball and only got to be there one day. But then I feel like when I came back for summer, it was just normal. Like Coach Stidham and the whole crew just took us in and just worked every day at getting like our connection better and building that connection, building the trust. And I think that this year it's like elevated. Like the trust and the connection we have is just stronger.
Yeah, I think last off season when he came in, it was like the first couple weeks of summer we had to like build like what the new offense was, but now we know what the offense is, so we can build more and more and strengthen that. So I think that's a big part.
And Coach, with all of that, I think this was your most successful first year ever when you look at your previous stops. With all of that in mind, why was your first year so successful here?
We had really good players. Oliver Benders at Washington State, that's a pretty good start right there. But I think, we came in late. We had the great coaching staff that we had to put together in a hurry. We were announced on April 14th. We started spring practice April 28th. And there were only 4 coaches left on the staff. So we had to find some coaches, and it just kind of all fell in place. We had seniors that bought into what we were doing. And I think also, we replaced a great football coach in Coach Derrick, who followed Coach Hester. So Nolensville's always been good, and we just kind of carried on and tried to continue to make it better and work really hard. But the seniors bought in, our coaches were great, and we had some really talented young kids that allowed us to have a chance.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to get my my stuff together here. Jake, I was going to ask you, such a decorated football and wrestling career for you. How it's not uncommon for wrestlers to pick football as a sport, but how could you maybe just specify what helps you to be a great defensive lineman that you can bring over from wrestling?
I think the grit and the physicality of it. I mean, wrestling, it's a very hard sport. A lot of, but I'd probably say like the leverage and hand fighting. A lot of someone's. I don't know how to say this. Like, it's just like a lot of leverage and hand fighting. I think it translates a lot to wrestling and just the hard work of it.
And for Scott, is there anything right now about the recruiting rule that seems unclear, or there's a gray area in regards to social media? I know that kind of everything is very similar than it used to be, except that's the one component now that has sort of changed a little bit.
Well, I'm going to admit right now, and you can put it in headlines and tell TWSAA, we recruit. We recruit our hallways every day. We recruit athletes from other sports in our school every day. And so to me, it's clear, as long as they go to Nolensville High School, we can recruit them. And that's what we do. So our social media, Coach Dylan Black does that. Our Twitter's great. And we use that to use everything we can to promote our kids that are already in our program, already in our building. And, I've learned as I've gone through it, I don't know that it's really crazy unclear unless you do things that are a little in the gray area. So that's what our step is. We want, one thing that we have that we're promoting is every kid in our zip code 37135 goes to Nolensville High School, which is unique in Williamson County. It's unique in Middle Tennessee because they're spread out. So we have our zip code on our helmet. We're playing for our town, our community, and we want these kids that grow up and go to Mill Creek Elementary and then go to Mill Creek Middle and Sunset Middle to then just know, man, I've been dreaming my whole life to be a Nolensville Knight on Friday nights. And so that's kind of what we do and how we promote it. And that's how we're approaching this whole thing.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Coach. Several years now in Williamson County. Couple now at Nolensville. As you said, you got your staff together now. You got a year behind you with this roster, minus last year's seniors, of course. How do you set this program up now to get past that second round, get deeper into the playoffs, knock off a Henry County if necessary? And I'll rage bait and clickbait you the same way I did Fairview to the players. What do you guys got for Page this year?
I'll start with that while you think about what to say that's really
or maybe
smart,
what's not
so that
to
you don't
say.
have to bear crawl on Monday. No, we're excited to be here, and we know we've talked to our team all the time. We have a chance to be pretty good. We also have a chance to be pretty average, and the difference between having a great season and an average one is about this much on every play. So we focus on the details and make sure they understand that. And those are the things. It's just a daily process. We talk about all the time when we played Henry County, we lost by 7. We'd all like to have one play different. If there was one play different, we win the football game. You don't get do-overs. They grow up playing video games and like the reset button. There's no reset button in November. And so we have to do what we have every day. Right now, the most important day is rest and recovery the next 2 days, and then Monday morning having a great practice and going through the process. They've bought into that, and now we just have to keep doing it and getting better. If we worry about November, we're never going to get there.
I don't care, to be honest. I'm just ready for August 20th. We'll see. When Paige comes around, I'll worry about that.
Yeah, they're a great team. It's just we got a lot of 9 other games in front that we have to focus about. So.
Yeah, I'd rather focus on August 20th and look at Paige, and we'll just deal with him when we get there.
No bear calls Monday. That's right. Good. Well done, Coach.
All right, any other questions? All right, very, very well schooled gentlemen. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck on August 20th. They open on a Thursday, MyTV 30 Game of the Week. Best of luck to you guys, and thanks for being here today. All right, joining us is Coach Scott Blade, who is in his second year of his second stint at Independence, former state championship coach. Independence was defeated in the second round of the 6A playoffs last season. Coach Blade is joined by Bryson Campbell, Brody Bullock, and Eli Garlington. Coach Blade will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions.
Okay, Bryson couldn't make it today. Brock Daniels, senior DB wide receiver, is replacing him, and to my right is Brody Bullock, and to my left is Eli Garlington. These are 3 great seniors. I mean, these are the ones for, you know, I look at these media days, been a part of a ton of them, but every one of these guys has overcome something in their career or are currently overcoming it. Those are the stories, really, that make this whole thing fun. And we're proud to have them. They're tough dudes, loyal, and all the above. So these 3 are the real stories here. For us, as far as the team, we're coming off our second year. So we've learned a lot last year. We were close, but no cigar on many different occasions. We've worked hard at addressing those type of things to create a different expectation and mindset moving into this year 2. But these kids have worked really hard, really proud of our team. And to be honest with you, just to get it out there, we're going to be, guys, a good group of seniors led by these 3, and several more. But we will be a young team by and large. So we're depending on these guys to bridge the gap and make this a memorable year.
My apologies on the personnel, guys. A lot of moving parts today, but thanks for being here. Any questions?
Coach, talk a little bit about how you keep things light, how you keep things, how you keep your kids fresh, particularly in the summertime as you get ready to start the season. Team bonding things, things that, these kids like to do, that you kind of hone in on, kind of develop that, that chemistry that you're going to need for the season.
I've done a bunch of different things over the years. I've had the Navy SEAL program come through. We've done pool parties. We've done all that stuff. You know what, bonding, I think bonding happens when you go through something together. You're working for a common goal. You're working with a purpose. I think our kids, for us, we have a focus on improving on last year. And we've done other things. I was telling Joe, we're as far as financially, we've done some different things to improve our program moving into the future. Keeping it light. I mean, we go 8 to 9, 9:45, 10 o'clock. We're off the field. Okay, then we lift. I mean, so we get these kids where and we go 4 days a week during the summer. So that gives them a long weekend, time to recover. But for the most part, we're out there trying to be as intentional as we can about the season coming up. And I think we've done a good job. We've Bryce Beal, we had him do some work our conditioning and work with our kids a little bit this year. So we think that this year we're probably farther ahead as far as that goes, as far as you're talking about recovery and how do we keep them rested. So we've been intentional about progressive overload there. And so at this point of the summer, being 1 month away from a kickoff, and for us it's 2 weeks for a scrimmage. We're not scrimmaging next Friday, so we're scrimmaging in 2 weeks. We're just trying to be intentional about their bodies and know that we've got to prepare them for a long run. Trying to get the guys that are banged up as close to 100% as possible by 4 weeks from now. So that's where we're at. That's how we handled the last few months.
You mentioned, previously bringing in Navy SEALs. Just talk about what they come in and do, and kind of how you came up with that, that idea, that concept.
Yeah, it was a great, Jason Kuhn from Stonewall Solutions. We brought him in for years, and he was a retired Navy SEAL. Would bring in a couple guys with him, and then we started it in 15. So we looked at which 15 was, we were coming off a 6-5 season. So we brought him in as we got to change the mindset here. And the Navy SEALs and Special Forces talks about a brotherhood, and they talk about all those things, team before self, right? So there's so many parallels between what the Special Forces, and we're not even, I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying we're like that, but that mindset and that ability to maybe go above and beyond and put somebody else before yourself. And I do believe that is a lost entity in today's world, right? And today is me, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to do that, and it's modeled in the transfer rule, and it's modeled in college football, and it's modeled in all that stuff. Our kids were never, and we're not immune to that either at Independence and anywhere in Williamson County. We're definitely not immune to that. But our kids, and the thing that originally got me excited about Independence was these are some dudes, just regular guys that, and all the success or failures I've had in my past, it's been built on regular dudes just doing irregular things, right? It's been built on team, right? So when I left and now come back to that, it's still that belief. I know the game is, the surroundings have changed. My beliefs haven't changed. And, we still believe for us to have any chance at success, it's those 11 on the field got to be pulling in the same direction. And you watch film and you go, okay, well, there's 8 guys doing it right. And there's 3 guys that are lost or not doing their job. Well, that's the difference, as Coach Stidham said a few minutes ago. That's the difference between, did you stop them on 3rd and 8, or 4th and 1, or did they get a first down? When the ball is thrown, do you make the play, or does the offensive guy make the play, right? Or vice versa. So we try and promote that whole idea of team before self, accountability, and something bigger than yourself, because we also believe that's what transcends and goes into their development as men as they move past sports.
Well said, Coach. Blaine Keller with Main Street Preps. When you kind of talk about the growth of your program and the development of your team, does last season's playoff win at Clarksville, the way that you guys won that one, is that a building block, you think, when you kind of reflect on that moment? Yeah, absolutely. So we had got to the precipice. So we had 3 games that we lost with 3 points or less, right? 3 games. And then we had 2 games against the number 2 team in 6A and the number 1 team in 5A that we were ahead at halftime, right? So championship caliber teams win those close ones, and then when you got a lead at halftime, they hold on to it, right? And then the also-rans, or the people that are trying to get there, there's something that breaks down and they're unable to overcome that. To those teams' credit, the championship team finds a way, right? And when we were playing the Ravenwoods of the world and the Pages of the world, that we might be ahead at halftime, but championship teams are that because of a reason. That doesn't make them flinch. Right? They know they're going to get back on track. And my real good teams of before, that was always it. We may have had it stalled out in the first half or first couple drives or whatever. There was never any doubt that we're going to come back and we're going to eventually get back on track. So that's kind of where we were at last year. We could not overcome that. And then Clarksville was now flip the script.
We're a 4th place seed. They're a number 1 seed. It was pouring rain. It was on a grass field. It was all mud. It was but we had to win it in double overtime, right? And so it was, now we finally came over that bridge, and that was the first time we won a playoff game since 2020, right? So we got over that hump, if you will, and then unfortunately the wheels fell off the following week. And by the way, Mo Patton was at that game, and I thanked him in the game, and then I apologized to him during the game. I thanked for his commitment to high school sports and driving 3 hours to see us. And then by the second quarter, I was apologizing. Man, I'm sorry you had to make this drive for this. So, but that's kind of the state of the union, where we're at and where we're trying to get over.
Well, when you look at that Clarksville game, you had your backup quarterback come in and lead you to the win. He's at tight end now, I think. And maybe the players can answer this, but it seems like you've got a really impressive quarterback room all around whenever, you've got Matthew and then I think a promising player in Cam Dell. As players, how much confidence do you have in guys like that in the room that you guys have?
I mean, I definitely have a lot of confidence in our quarterback room, and other teams may not view it that way, but I mean, as you said, we have our backup quarterback from last year playing offense and defense, and then we got starting quarterback and a young quarterback in Cam Dell, who I have infinite amounts of trust in.
I have a lot of faith in our quarterbacks and our players too. That shows selflessness, the way that Ethan chooses to move from quarterback to playing tight end. That's another position that we needed, so he chose to step up. So kudos for him.
I'd agree with them, and like as a whole group, like our whole team, we trust Matthew completely, and we also trust the quarterbacks behind him, and we know that they can compete if Matthew goes out, or just like the Clarksville game, like if something happens, they're able to compete.
I'm going to add to that, our kids and Eli said it great, that selflessness. So it goes back to what are we trying to get across from our team, right? So if I got 2 senior quarterbacks, well, I'm not one that likes to just go every other series and just rotate them. And Ethan Langerbines makes the decision, coach, I can help out here. And he's helping out everywhere. So that takes pressure off us, takes pressure off these guys. And by the way, these guys all play like multiple positions, right? So that's the versatility of these guys, and they'll play wherever, right? Hey, I need you to go to H, I need you to go to Y. Hey, I need you at corner. Oh, by the way, you got to play safety this drive. Like I said, we're not as deep as we'd like, but I've got guys that have a football IQ, a football mentality, and they're starting to buy into, man, I'll do whatever I got to do to help the team. And those are some of the characteristics of some of my best teams in the past. It's about the team. What can I do to help the team? Joe.
So I just want to follow up on the first question for the 3 players, guys. And I'm going to paraphrase here something about not soft practices, but some kind of warrant. Have you ever been in a practice with Scott Blade that you would call easy?
I don't think the practices are definitely not easy, but they're lighter on the body than previous. We're never going full contact. Well, not often going full contact. I feel like that's definitely helped my body in the past 2 years I've played under coach. And I feel like that's a big part of our recovery and ability to, stay mostly healthy as a team.
Does it make it? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, what Brody was saying, we don't have to hit 100% at practice to get 1% better each day. And I think the coaching staff still pours into us 100%. So it's not like we're taking it easy or going not going 100%. We're still trying to put that effort to, be ready for week 1.
For me, it's like when we get near to the end of practice, we're all excited, and then Coach Blade will be like, all right, guys, helmets on the sideline, let's get ready to run. That's the only part that we all hate, but other than that, it's fun.
Coach, you stepped away as a head coach for a few years. I know you came back as an assistant, but from a head coach from before, then you step away. What's been the biggest change in high school football that you've seen as a head coach from when you, I know it was a brief getaway, but a lot has changed over the last few years.
Absolutely, Tom. There's, in building a program, it's slower than the progress is sometimes slower. And we live in a world that's obviously immediate gratification and this and that, but it takes years to build up a culture, years of expectation, of weight room, of all these different things. None of it's immediate. And I know with the transfer and everything else, all that's new, and it's, don't get me started on that, but the having to come back in and recreate it is it's a challenge. But I do believe, and we're not finished there. It's a work in progress. We have goals. At one time it was, I had some success early on at Hillsborough. I had some success everywhere I've been in the first year, and then it ramped up by year 3. We have been very intentional about what we're trying to get done and who we're trying to become. And it has nothing to do with any other team. It has to do with what you're hearing these young men say up here. And they're all, I haven't coached them up, this is who they are. And that process is probably a little bit longer, and there's more, I don't know, with the transfer portal and this and that. Here's what I'll say to that, Tom. You're asked, coaches, we're asked to be vulnerable. For me to get to my players and get them this, I've got to make myself vulnerable, right? And that's hard to do in today's world, and I'm not a touchy-feely guy in any way, shape, or form, but this is the most important, professionally, when I'm involved with a team, this is the most important thing going on in my life. Now, I have a personal life, and my family's, my kids, my grandkids, that takes precedence over everything. But other than that, this is the most important thing, right? So these guys are loyal, right? In a world that doesn't reward loyalty all the time, right? Where they can get their feelings hurt, or mom and dad or whatever entity is in their head, they can go to a next school. We don't necessarily have all that. We got locked up borders, and we got Williamson County rules on who can transfer in and who can transfer out. They're different than what the TSSAA says. That is a reality. And so these kids have bought in, and it'll take some time, but I'm excited about working with them. My focus has maybe changed on, oh my God, I got to get back to the state championship or bust. It's not that at all. We don't talk about other teams. I don't care about other teams. I care that my kids are, growing and becoming human beings, and the natural effect is, well, you're going to win games when they're playing together, and you're going to win games that nobody expects you, like the Clarksville game. And we can go back on history, and those Independence teams were not always the talented teams, but most coaches didn't want us on their schedule because they know that's going to be an untalented, a less than talented team, and they're going to play hard, and they're not going to make mistakes, and that's not an easy win, right? So I think that's where we're trying to get these guys to go, and eventually, that carves off a path to bigger things.
Your players were talking about how practices are a little bit different, where it's not maybe 100% hitting it at all go. Is a lot of that is, hey, you mentioned depth. He's like, hey, you've got to figure out, you got to keep them healthy for week 1.
Absolutely, and that's why I don't scrimmage next week. We're very intentional about our practices on what we want done. Like I told Joe back there, I said, on Thursday, we introduced in 2 hours, we at least introduced our special teams. And a lot of times those get lost in a week before you're putting them in. Well, we know we've got to, and we didn't condition on Thursday. So I'm letting off, I gave their legs, a little bit, I was working on their brains, right? Because we were doing a lot of situational adjustment stuff. And our practices in general, they're 100 miles an hour, but we're not going down to the ground. We're playing thud when it's inside run or team, right? We're running our routes. We do our route tree every single day. That's conditioning. But we want those receivers, and like I said, these guys will play both sides of the ball. So we think we can be intentional at practice without putting their body in harm's way, and we try and protect them as much as possible. And when it's time to go, bang time, I mean, we do. But we try and eliminate some of those things as much as possible early on.
Scott, this is for you. Is there anything about the recruiting rule right now in regards to social media that seems unclear to you, or is it gray area? I ask that because that's a little bit of a new component to some of the rules they're enforcing.
Yeah, I don't think there's a gray area. I just think that, I'm a purist. This is my first year coaching. I always believe high school football is was the last true frontier of where it's most pure. You're taking neighborhood kids. If all you guys have played, that are up in age, man, it was the dudes you went to school with, you grew up with, right? Your neighborhood buddies. Now it's not so much that. And I think college football is being a former college athlete, and doing it in a different era. And knowing those things that forged you as a human being are now lost, right? And if we're promoting that in high school athletics, right? So I don't agree with it at all, flat out. I think we lose some of the things that I believe high school football is founded on. And that is why I love this group. When I speak of loyalty, I speak of guys, they can all go somewhere else. They can all do something else. They believe in the vision. They believe in what we're trying to get done, and then they want to do it with their buddies. And those that don't, well, then I'm being vulnerable to them. They're not buying in anyways, right? Because now it's person before team. These guys are team before self. And with that, those wins mean more. And the losses mean more, right? I mean, I've coached, 6 or 7 all-star games, right? You got them for a week, and it's just plug and play, and there's no emotional attachment to it, right? And I talk to college coaches all the time that come in. It's completely transactional, right? And so the relationship aspect, gone, 100% gone. And so I think those type of things, I didn't come back to high school football to get overly involved in all that, stuff, right? I'm back because I want to see the community I live in and the kids I believe in. I want to see them become great dudes. That's it.
Coach, is there anything that's unclear about what you coaches are allowed to do on social media in regards to the recruiting rule?
No, and I don't have any social media, so I've had to educate my, literally zero. I've had to educate my one guy that promotes stuff on there. But for us, I know that the kids live in that world, and I know all that. I've got an older staff for most part, my younger staff that does the social media, and I know that's a big part of it. In today's world, I know what's acceptable and what's not, 100%. I know, and I'll just leave it at that.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Best of luck the rest of the offseason and against Rockvale in a few weeks. Take care. All right, next up is Franklin. Got the Franklin Admirals, and we are joined by Coach Josh Adkins, who is in his 3rd year at Franklin. Coach Adkins is joined by Connor Miller, David Domingo, and Peyton King. Coach Adkins will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions.
Thank you all. Before I get started with my opening statement, obviously, Peyton King to my left, Connor Miller, and David Domingo to my right, unbelievable human beings. I'd like to thank Mr. Whitlock for putting together this event at the New Innovations Building, where all Wilco can enjoy. I'd like to thank the press for taking time to cover our county's Media Day. Last year was not the standard or the vision as a team that we set forth as our goal after having somewhat success in the 2024 season. Having graduated 9 starters on offense and 7 on D, we had a lot of opportunities for younger guys or those with less experience to step up and test themselves in one of the most competitive counties in the state. I argue that the youthfulness and the experience showed itself when we lost 3 games by a total of 5 points. And this was the example of the little things that beat us as a team. We finished the season on a high note, obviously on a win streak. Now we look into the 2026 season, the year of the transfer, with players and families across the state feeling like they have to keep up with the Joneses to be relevant. Whether they left and didn't get enough playing time, or they thought they could beat out a starter in front of them, or help other teams reload, we may never know why so many have decided to transfer. I want to thank these young these young men to the left and right of me, and the rest of the team who've decided that the grass isn't greener on the other side, but instead to water the grass that they're standing on, to trust the little things like hard work, development, respecting the process, and that we can't have instant results, and by getting 1% better, and that each day adds up over time. That the values and changes that we spoke about in January could be achieved by understanding the little things like accountability, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and facing hard and challenging things ahead versus taking the easy way out. People have asked what's our expectations for the 2026 season. I've told them all by saying the same thing: let's eat. It's our new acronym. Execution, accountability, toughness, and together. By following this acronym, we have the best team we can be, grow from our successes, and learn from our shortcomings.
Well done. Questions?
You graduated a lot of talent last year, and looking at this schedule, no breaks. And last year, missed the playoffs. What's a realistic expectation for your team this year? And tell us, if you could, how you're going to get there. What's the ceiling for this team realistically?
I think for us, we take it literally one rep at a time. I mean, I'm for one going into year 3 as a head coach. Last year, I'll be honest, I let things get a little out of hand. Losing those 3 games by 5 points, playing a lot of young guys last year. Learning to kind of grow with the game, and it was special teams follies. It was situations of making the wrong reads, stuff like that, to where you take those lumps with younger guys. Now coming back, we have a lot of guys coming back on the offense. I mean, last year we had 2 returning starters. This year we have 8. Defensively we've always been kind of solid, so we have about 6 to 7 guys coming back on defensively. So I think the situation is, if you just take it one rep at a time, trust the process and your battle buddy to left and right of you. Like, to me, yes, I'm competitive. I think these gentlemen, on our team are competitive too. But it's situations, if all we focus on is winning, and we need to win 8 games this year or 7 games to call success, then I've failed them as a head coach, because there's more things to football than just wins and losses, and it's the little things, that life lessons and values and stuff like that I've been fortunate enough to teach these young men, that when tough situation occurs, they can get the job done.
What's the letter of the year? Last year we had some private conversations where you got you had a letter attached to some of your plays. What's the letter this year?
P, the letter P this year. So yeah, we'll talk about it more off camera. Yeah. Selling my trade secrets here. Oh, yeah, you're good.
This one's for the players. I know your coach just talked about, not being defined by wins and losses, and not wanting that to motivate your season. You were one of 2 teams in Williamson County that didn't make the playoffs. Does that motivate you at all for this year?
Yeah, it was kind of different. Like, not being able to go to the playoffs, it was a lot more. It was kind of hard having to end the season on a regular season game, not getting to go to the playoff and not getting to play in it. So it's a lot of motivation to be able to at least go to the playoff game, hopefully win it, and then move on to the next round.
Yeah, I feel like it's a big motivation, especially with the county being all close, and us just being friends with a lot of people from other schools. It just kind of put up a chip on our shoulder just to come back the next year, work harder, and just achieve our goals.
Yeah, Coach Atkins keeps on telling us that games are won and lost by 6 main plays, and I truly believe that. You just need to trust your battle buddy, saying, hey, you're going to do your job, I'm going to do my job, and we just go one play at a time, just keep on winning. And I do feel like if we won those 3 games that we lost by 5 points, if we would have won those, we would have won closer games, maybe had the confidence in ourselves to keep on moving on. And I feel like we did have the talent last year, and we definitely have it this year, that we can go to the playoffs and show what we're capable of.
And Coach, when you say in your statement that you let things get out of hand last year, what do you learn from a coach to be able to not let that happen this year?
Well, I mean, kind of be vulnerable with you guys. It's a situation where, our first year guys, they had that 22-game losing streak that kind of motivated them. And for us, last year, we talked about it. The seniors, they wanted to be liked and not lead. And that was a situation where, how could I adjust that? So, in January, I basically told, hey, we created these chalk groups, and guys got into certain things, and things like wearing the right things in the weight room, your grades, attendance, effort. And it was seniors and juniors that were those leaders, those team leaders. And so it's a situation where, they're holding each other accountable. Like if they break a rule, they know the punishment. The coaches don't deal the punishment. The team leaders, they make sure that the punishment is being fulfilled. I shouldn't say punishment. Corrective training is what they say in the military, right? Corrective training. So to correct the wrong with the right kind of thing. And so that's been the biggest thing since January. Is these guys, man, they've owned up to that. They come out hungry with it, and they know what the standard is. And it's not coaches don't like us or don't love us, because, you ask on my coaching staff, my nickname's Positive Pete, because I'm always trying to find the good things, even in the negatives. And but no, yeah, I think it's ownership through the team leading versus us trying to lead, and I think it'll prove, productive results.
Hi, Coach. Scott Burton with 6 and 5 Preps. You said you finished last year on an up note on a winning streak. Was that due to the growth of your younger players? And if it was, how do you continue to build that momentum through the offseason and into this year?
Yeah, it was. Like I said, we had a lot of younger guys, play a lot of sophomores, and these guys were juniors last year. So it's a situation of, being intentional in our training, what we do in the off season, the 7-on-7s we went to, and just how we run practice too, of making sure that we're rotating guys in so that if injury occurs or something like that, it's not their first time that they've had those kind of reps, on a Friday night game. I really, back even when I was an assistant coach, I always would push in special teams of playing sophomores on it to get them experience, because, I've been coaching, this is my 13th year, and I've never had a season where everybody's been healthy. And I've always played a sophomore in an offensive or defensive role on a Friday night because of an injury.
And this is for the players. You guys said that you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder when you see the success around you of other teams. How do you guys build that into the younger players on your team?
Like you said with the chalk leader stuff. So I'm a chalk leader, and I have 7 guys below me, and we focus on the little things, that you're wearing tennis shoes, hopefully Adidas, because we are an Adidas school. And then we have a dress code, so you're wearing the same shorts as everybody else, the same shirt as everybody else, and just focusing on those little things and saying all these things matter, because what if you do a wrong step and you're a lineman, and you do the wrong step, that guy can beat you, that can be a tackle for loss. So just focusing on those little things, saying they all matter and they all build up eventually, and just showing them, teaching them with this respect, not of hate, but of trying to get them to learn.
Probably just like what Connor said, build on the little things, instill that in them. It's not always the big things that come back to bite you. It's usually the little things. You mess up one little thing, and then that turns into a 15-yard gain, and then you're on the next down, and then you have to come right back and try to stop them. And if you don't refresh and all that stuff, it can come back to bite you in the butt real quick.
I feel like one thing we've been talking about a lot this offseason is goldfish memory. Forget about the bad plays, because they're going to happen. And even with the good plays, celebrate them, but forget them and have a short-term memory and just go on to the next play and just, execute.
And for the players, if Josh, I think you told me this, that 10 players had transferred out and 6 had come in. What's that been like, having those new faces around for you guys? Has that been noticeable?
Yeah, it's kind of different, because most of the guys that are on the team, we've all grown up with and stuff, so you got to include them in everything, but then you also kind of have to get to know them, see what their tendencies are in football, see what they like to do outside of football. It's not just all about football. You kind of got to get to know them as a person and hang out with them and do stuff with them to get to know them a lot more, and then you get to kind of be in their life a little bit, and then you get you you get a lot better on the football field because you're a lot more intertwined with them, and then everything just comes together a lot better on the football field.
Yeah, I think it's definitely exciting to see people wanting to come to Franklin and, just seeing new faces because, like PK said, like most of the people on our team, it's just like we've seen them for a while. There's not really change, but yeah, it's just kind of exciting to get to know more people.
It was really exciting because I feel like in the offseason we lost a lot of players, and we're like, dang, those are players that we could use. And then to see them come over during the summer really is helpful. And we know that, we are focusing on the people that are brought into our team, not trying to focus on their lives or their season or their future. It's the team's future. So we're very thankful for the players that have come, and we are just focusing on ourselves, not on other people that are coming in and out.
And for you, Josh, is there anything right now that seems like unclear or a gray area about the recruiting rule in terms of social media? I know there has been some questions at times about.
No, I think Mr. Reeves done a really good job as far as, with NCAA obviously setting those expectations. I would argue for the longest time it's been gray, a lot of gray. But I think NCAA does a really good job of, making it more black and white, right and wrong. It's a situation where it can't be just your coaches that you educate, right? Because, it says third party. So what does that mean? We all know it. Players text players, hey, you should come here. Parents message players, hey, you should come here, right? Even faculty members in your school, they might not be a coaching staff, right? But if they're in your school and they're recruiting on your behalf as a head coach, you're held liable. And so it's a situation where you're not just telling your kids or telling your coaches, you're telling your parents, you're telling the faculty members at your school that, hey, if you do this, the program can suffer. It's not just the coaches. And so I think they've done a really good job. It's not perfect, but each year they keep getting better and better at it to where it takes any doubt or any gray out, and it's the right or wrong and in between.
Coach, that Week 2 game at Gallatin, for you personally, you're going back there for the first time since you came to Franklin. What's that going to be like for you?
Oh, it's going to be weird. It's the first time I really, I'll take that back. The freshman team, we went up there, I think my first year on that sideline, and it felt weird then, and it'll feel weird, but I was telling these guys that they were talking about, the lights in the stadium, and I was talking about the history, been playing football there since 1917, and, grass field, and then the history of it, and I kind of gave them a little Gallatin history lesson, whether they wanted it or not, but it'll be special, being there for 5 years, and, Dr. Becker and all that admin team over there, and Coach Strout for that year, and, with Chad, it's going to be special. It's going to be exciting because, we had a barn burner last year at our place, and I feel like it's going to be the same thing again. The team with the ball in their hand last probably go get that win for sure.
And of course, that they've widened that thing a little bit, so the visiting sideline, you got more room now.
And I'm glad you said that because I told them, guys, we're lucky because they widened the field because it used to be so on top of you in that brick wall. Like my first year, I was fortunate enough to coach Spencer Briggs, Mr. Football finalist, and I literally had young guys, myself and some younger guys, hey, your job is to catch this kid if he comes to our sideline because there was no room and there was that brick wall. And there was a situation, he's graduated now, but a kid did put himself between the wall and Briggs and saved him, and he got a little bit banged up, but that was the biggest thing. Every day I would thank him for that and let the team know that, hey, that's a team player right there. Literally take a one for the team. But she's a little wider now, so there's a little more room to kind of put the brakes on, and the visiting brick wall's not there, so we have some time to slow down.
And this one's for the players. You guys were a handful of plays from being a 7-win team last year, so you take a glass half full perspective. Does that give you confidence that you guys can make that flip this year and make that next step toward being a playoff team again?
Yes, because a lot of the game, a bunch of the games lost just like Gallatin. It was one play that came back to kill us because we had one wrong thing or one person missed their assignment or something, and they ended up scoring or getting the first down or something like that, and they ended up going down and scoring. So it was just the little things that would come back and get us because they ended up beating us only by a few points. And it just we could have won those games, but just one little thing that happened that made it to where we ended up losing.
Yeah, I think most of the games last year, towards the beginning of the season, there's just one play. And it just kind of makes me excited of what we're capable for this year because we've definitely gotten mentally stronger and we've learned how to finish games and just, go play by play and just execute one play at a time.
Yeah, I really do believe that we can turn around this season just because we started with all those close losses, kind of beat ourselves up about it, and then we still ended up winning our last 2 games. And those last 2 games, it was the younger, us being juniors or sophomores making plays, so it shows us that we do have the talent and we can persevere, and we are still, like, everybody's still counting on us, maybe not to be as great. We can show them they're wrong.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate you guys being here today. Best of luck the rest of the preseason and against Laverne in your season opener. All right, next up, we have the Page Patriots. We are joined by Coach Charles Rathbone in his 14th year as head coach at Page. They were a perfect 14-0 last year and won the 5A Class State Championship. Coach Rathbone is joined by Preston Ashmore, Colin Muck, and Mac Lee. Coach Rathbone will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions.
You know, I want to start by thanking y'all for being here. Y'all have a very thankless and tough position if you think about it. You're in a lot of ways like coaches. If you don't write about the right kid or a certain kid for his one tackle or is close to being an assist or whatever, I'm sure y'all get phone calls and texts and everything else from parents that are upset that y'all don't get that. So we appreciate y'all covering us and being fair about the stories and just getting these kids' names out there. We're excited about this year. It's the first time, you know, we've obviously been to 5 straight state championships. It's the first time that we're returning the quarterback in Cameron Cruzy. But these guys, I've known them since they were in 8th grade, freshmen. They were the class I was worried about. You know, I can honestly say it's the first class that I've ever had that had a food fight in the cafeteria at one time. But they've came a long ways. You know, they've grown up. They're leaders. What they've implemented in the weight room this off season, to me, may have went a little bit too far as their conditioning. If they don't show up or if they're a minute late, what they got to do. But these guys took the bull by the horns and implemented that in the weight room. So we're excited to see what happens this season. We're excited to line up. They feel like they still got more to prove. They want to be the first team in Williams County to go back to back. You know, but we understand that it starts one play at a time, one practice at a time, one attitude at a time. And that's what we're focused on right now is each other and getting better and figuring out what we got and putting people in the right positions. To my left is Colin Mulett, Mac Lee, and Preston Ashmore.
All right.
Coach, the last time I saw you, you were having a heartfelt and maybe long overdue embrace with your son on the sideline down in Chattanooga. Congratulations on that. It was good to see. You've set the standard, really, with 5 trips to Chattanooga and winning last year. Want to go back this year. Talk a little bit about how you maintain this level of success and maybe go beyond one play at a time. You know, tell us. You've established a program here, and it's a lot of people, you know, look at this and say this is the standard of success. It's consistent 5 years in a row. How do you just keep going? I mean, 5 times in a row to Chattanooga is amazing. What do you do now with this group that sustains that level of excellence?
Well, I wished I could sit here and tell you I'm Nick Saban, and you know, I have a secret message, but really it's about the kids. It really is. And I know everybody says that, but anybody worth their weight in gold, you know, as a coach, knows that you don't win without good players. You don't. We've been blessed with some really good players. We got a lot of good players coming back this year. So as a coach, you really just try to get the program going in one way, the right way, what you believe in. You know, obviously they know what I believe in: faith, family, football, each other. You talked about me hugging Jake when we won last year. I hugged every single one of these guys. They're all my kids. You know, I really do look at it that way. If they needed something, I'm there. If they break down on the side of the road, as long as it's not past 10 o'clock at night, I'm there. You know, so they shouldn't be out past 10 o'clock. But anyway, so it's just hold them accountable. You know, just you know, if you're going to be late, you're going to run. If you're going to miss practice, you're not going to play. And the one thing I commit to them every single year, that my staff will play the best players. Whoever wins that position, I don't care who you are. You could be the governor's son. If you're not the next player, the best player, you're not going to play. And they work hard to be that best player. And, you know, they hold each other accountable. They make my job easier. They really do. They make my job easy. I don't have to really worry about discipline. I don't have to worry about them going to class. All three of these kids are taking AP classes. Over half our team's in an AP class. So, I mean, I don't really have the discipline problems that you hear about or read about sometimes. You know, I've just been blessed with good kids, good athletes, good players, and they put it together and they take ownership of it. And the best teams are senior-led, and hopefully we got another one this year.
Along the same lines as that first question, and I think, Coach, you can answer this, your players can too. Is it a different kind of pressure when you've won a championship now and starting a new year as opposed to the years before where you're trying to get that first title?
To me, no, because it's a different team. Every year you got a different set of goals. You got the same goal is to win as many games as possible and get to the top of the mountain as quickly as you can. So to me, it's no more pressure. You always hear the hunted versus the hunter or whatever. We're always hunting. We're going to hunt the ball. We're going to hunt the person carrying the ball. We're going to do what it takes to be the best. And it doesn't matter if we won last year, lost last year, or didn't even get there last year. So to me, this goal is the same. And eventually, you got to line up and make the plays.
I mean, yeah, it's just like it's the same goal we've always had is win a state championship. So, I mean, nothing really changes to that aspect. We got same like-minded team. Everyone's competing for the same goal, and that's to win another state championship. So.
And Coach, you mentioned Cam Cruzy coming back. Another weapon that you've maybe added to this offense is Dylan Streeter. How are you able to use a guy like that and his speed with Cameron's abilities in the offense?
So when Streeter came in, I mean, just like I told him, he's got to be the best, right? So he's got Mack here, who's our leading receiver returning. You got a couple guys in the slot, and Streeter obviously 6'3" on the edge. You got Colin who can play both ways. It's all about being unselfish and accepting your role on the team. So I mean, we got some weapons that all over the field, and he's just another guy that we're going to be able to add to the outside. That's going to give some matchup issues to especially height-wise, to people that have smaller corners. And Cruz does a great job. Cameron does a great job in just getting everybody lined up, seeing what's there, making the check, and getting the ball out. And, Max spent a lot of time building a great relationship with him. Colin spent a lot of time spending a great relationship with him. He knows they're going to be in the right place when the play is called. So, I mean, it takes a lot of trust, a lot of effort, a lot of work to get there, but I feel like they've done it this offseason.
Coach, talk a little bit about, obviously, last year, 5th state championship game, I think, finally kind of got over that hump. How much consideration, I guess, did you give, to kind of stopping there? And then did you give it any consideration? Did you decide, you wanted to make another run with with Paige? I mean, were you close at all at getting that state title and then being like, okay, I'm done?
So I guess you're talking about giving up coaching, retiring, whatever.
Right.
As I get older, that always goes through your mind. I reevaluate myself after every season. But I preach commitment, family to these kids. And I know everybody's thinking I'm going to want to go and see Jake play college football and run off into the sunset, but I don't feel like I'm finished pouring into these kids. I don't feel like my job is done. State championship or not, we can win all 5 state championships. 5 state championships. I still feel like I got more to give these kids. And when they come in as freshmen from Page Middle and I make a commitment to them and tell them, hey, I'm going to be there, Lord willing, then I plan to be there. Now, there is a time coming, closer rather than further away now, obviously me being older, that I am going to have to give it up at some point. But I just felt like, I love this group of seniors, and I felt like I owed it to them to stay at least another year and do my best and provide some sort of, leadership or a comfort level to them.
There's only a few, teams in this state that have gone to a state title, as consistently as you guys, and every year there tends to be pressure that comes with that. How do you address that with your team each year? I mean, for all intents and purposes, you know, at some point, you know, that run has to end. Just, you know, the law of averages would suggest that. But how do you kind of keep your kids sort of level-headed, understanding that, you know, yes, you want to get back to the state championship, but the importance of approaching it correctly, particularly at the beginning of the season, you know, is you know, could you know, swing it one way or the other.
So I think you got to keep everything grounded, and you got to give them real life situations. To me, a high school football game is not pressure. Now I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to be the. I get it. You know, we all do that. But you know, when I think about my early life and trying to figure out how you're gonna get enough money to feed your kids and pay the electric bill and do all that, that's pressure. You know, when you think about what's truly important, your faith is truly important. Your family is truly important. Whether or not we win a state championship or win this football game or that football game, that's gonna come and go, right? I mean, it's memories you could take with you forever. And we all remember our high school days and our buddies in high school, but probably a lot of us don't keep in touch with those high school buddies anymore. So it comes and goes. So I just my job is to provide leadership, make these guys better young men. What are they going to be as fathers? When they're here in 5, 6, 7 years, when they get married, and I know that thing's going to be longer, but somebody's going to catch them sooner or later. When they get married and start having these kids, that's when the pressure comes. Right now, let's just go have fun. Let's go win football games. Let's go play hard. And if we play one play at a time, as hard as we can play, and execute that one play, then good things are going to happen. And if we lose, we're going to give credit to where it belongs. That's the good Lord above. And if we win, we're going to give credit to the good Lord above. And that's just the way I believe. And that's, you know, that's what I've always done. That's what we'll continue to do. And I'm sure these guys have their own beliefs and the ways they're going to handle it. But that's personally how I will handle it.
And for the players, a little bit along those lines, it was pretty clear the last couple years, the whole motivation, kind of storyline around you guys was, let's get back to the championship game and win this time. Now you're the defending state champions, and couple good players leave from last year. What's the mindset going in to this year? Maybe with some people thinking, how could Page get back, you know, again?
I think it's the same mindset as it's always been. I think it's one game at a time. You know, take things slow, but just trust in your ability. One thing this team's done really well this year is competing, especially at practice. Every rep, they're competing. They're competing for a spot. They're competing to show that, you know, they're here for a reason. So I think that's really key to, you know, and important to going back to another state championship and competing to win one. And I don't think we've had any problem with pressure so far, because I think we know pressure. We know how to beat adversity.
I want to add on what Colin said. We did lose some big players last year, but I feel like this year our seniors have helped like younger kids step up to the roles and fill in a good place.
And you know, to me, they've seen the biggest amount of pressure, right? I mean, going back to that 5th state championship, can they get over the hump? Being in 5 semifinal games now and getting to the state championship, what more pressure could be put on them? You know, they don't have anything to live up to. They've accomplished it. They did it. So, I mean, to me, pressure is what you put on yourself.
And another one for the players, I need to know all the details about the food fight. What grade was it?
It was freshman year. You know, just some things happened. I don't know. Big guy at the end can tell more about it.
So no details so far.
Basically, all it was we had this thing where everyone at the table would pile our trash up, and one person would have to take all of it. And we did that, and one person just didn't take it, so we just kind of just left all the trash there. So, you know, looking back on it, it was pretty stupid, but yeah.
So
Lunch
nothing.
detention the rest of the year, by the way.
I'll figure it out this season. I'll get to the bottom of this. This is what I do. For Coach Rathbone, is there anything about the recruiting rule right now in regards to what coaches can and can't do on social media that seems unclear or a gray area? That's a component that has tripped up a couple coaches in some places. And anything, you pretty clear on it?
You know, and I think it's always unclear because it's selective on what's going to be enforced, what's not going to be enforced. So to me, I mean, on social media part of it, praise your players, build your players up. I don't care what anybody else's players does. I mean, why should I ever comment on a Summit player, Indy player, Franklin player, whatever? That should never, even though I love those kids just as much as I love ours, but I can't go and say great job, because that's recruiting, right? The only problem with the recruiting rule that I have is I have these kids to worry about. I have 135 football players I got to worry about. I'm not the parent to all the parents out there. And I think the TWSAA or whoever maybe needs to call some of our Wilco parents and see if they can get them to do what they tell them to do. Or any Rutherford County parent. They're not going to. So I don't feel like any coach or any player or any program should be held accountable for what a parent does. If a parent acts stupid in the stands, why are we being punished? If a parent is talking to a buddy, yeah, you need to come to Page, or you need to come to Summit, you need to come wherever, why is the program being punished for something that a parent is doing? I have no control over it. I really don't have relationships with most of my parents. I don't, because I put myself in a bad situation if I get out there, because all they want to talk about is why is little Johnny not playing? So how am I supposed to go to them and say, stop talking to your neighbor about coming to Page? And I don't know if that is happening, but the way that Coach Atkins talked about, he read it, if that's true, then to me that's wrong. I don't see how any coach or program should be penalized for what parents do.
Hey, Coach, Scott Burton, 615 Preps. Good to see you. You did graduate quite a bit off of your lines last year. And as a former offensive lineman, talk to me a little bit about the continuity of your lines this year, offensive and defensive lines.
Well, I'll tell you, Ashmore and Connor Kaufman have done a great job of bringing that line together. That's our position of concern. Obviously, this year is where we're going to have up front. We're going to be big. We got some size coming back as far as the underclassmen, but we're going to be young. We're probably going to be playing 2, maybe 3 sophomores, a couple of juniors. Again, Preston and Connor have done a great job getting that group together, working them throughout the summer, getting their steps, really pushing them in the weight room. We're more optimistic after this first week of practice about our offensive line than we were if you'd have asked me this 2 months ago. So we think we're going to be better than what we thought we were going to be. But it also comes down to these guys being able to be in the right position, getting the ball out and taking some pressure off that offensive line where we don't have to pound the rock 50 times a game and, making plays in space.
Yeah. And this is for the players. Knowing the talent that you have played with before and the history of how good the offensive line is, what kind of pressure does that put on you, or what kind of incentive does that put on you for the coming season?
I feel like every year we've been to state, we've had a really talented team every year, but this team that just won it this past year may not have been the most talented. It really was about the team that was most together, playing for one single goal. That really was what pushed us over the edge, from what I feel like. I mean, and we still have a very talented team this year, so, but we're another group that's got, we got one single goal in mind. Everyone's playing for one goal, not playing for each other, not playing for themselves. So, I feel like once again, we're going to be back in that state championship game. And we're going to get it done again this year, even though, we lost a lot of guys up front, but each and every day we're getting better, and, we're going to go win that state championship again. One thing that I think, Preston and Caleb have done really well, with our offensive line and the guys we have stepping up is they've been motivating them. They've been, preaching to them that they are good enough to play for this team. They're good enough to play in a state championship, and that's really important for younger guys in their development. So, and you really see that throughout the whole team. We got a lot of guys that have to step up this year, and they have done so, and they've done with the help of guys that have experience. So, that just builds our bond, and it makes us stronger as a team because we're able to play together and play for each other.
Coach, one more from me. Could you run me through the process of bringing Hayden Alexander onto your staff as offensive coordinator, just how that came about, and then as players, what you've seen from him as an assistant so far?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I learned last year that sometimes as a coach, the people you're closest to are your assistant coaches. And you always want to believe they're also your best buddies in life, right? And sometimes that's not the case. So we had some coaches that needed to move on and some coaches that chose to move on. So obviously we opened up the position. You know, Coach Polk, he's a lifelong friend of mine, getting older, had some health problems last year. He's been the OC with me for, 12, 13 years. So Hayden applied, interviewed, and I just felt comfortable with him. You know, I just feel like he's a genuinely good guy that cares about these kids. You know, if it comes down to scoring a point or keeping a kid healthy and keeping a kid safe, he's going to choose keeping a kid healthy and safe every single time. And that, to me, that's important because we owe it to these kids. So what he has brought, he's brought in a lot of organization that needed to be brought in offensively. He's brought in a lot of kind of a younger youth movement into our offense, along with Coach Reese, who's the receivers coach. So he's brought in we're going to be a little bit more multi-faceted. You know, for the first time in 13 years, we're going to use a tight end, for example. A lot of that's because we never really had a tight end body, but now we got a couple of them, including Mac. So, you know, he's brought in a lot of organization that we needed, just kind of a refresher. You know, you never stay on your laurels. You never just stay set. You're always trying to look to be better, to do something different. And this was an opportunity for us to get better, and I jumped on it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Great job. Best of luck in the preseason in week 1. Next up is Summit. We are joined by Coach Brian Coleman, who is in his 13th year, including a state championship at Summit. Coach Coleman is joined by Zach Lamb, Charles Williams, and Micah Sally. Coach Coleman will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions.
Hey, guys, thanks for being here. Happy to be here. Building off of last year, we are returning, I think, 4 offensive starters and 6 starters on defense. And a lot of guys got a lot of playing time last year as underclassmen. So I think it's going to help us out this year. Have a great group of seniors, have 18 seniors, led by these 3 guys here. Really excited about the culture they have built, the leadership they have had. Very proud of them, how they've handled the offseason this year. So we're looking forward to, building on this year and, improving each week.
All right, now we will open it up for questions.
Yes, Joe.
Hold on.
Here's one just kind of outside the box for you. Zach, if I've got this figured out right, Coach is going to be on top of you, but you have somebody else who's kind of watching you every day, and then on top of that, your dad is also a reporter and kind of cover. How much pressure is that, man? I mean, everybody in the family's on top of you every time you turn around.
I kind of like it, honestly. Like, having my mom in the building every day is pretty cool. And, I mean, I've been around Summit football since I was, like, a little kid, so it's pretty cool to play for it, for sure.
And for you guys, how nervous does it make you to know that, your teammate's sitting here and, boy, does he talk too much at home? Do you worry about that?
Honestly, I feel like knowing that we have a teammate that just has like a principal as a mom, like having someone that can have our back all the time, I feel like it's amazing. Like Miss Lamb does a great job protecting us and watching over us.
Yeah, I totally agree. We definitely appreciate Miss Lamb entirely and her support of the football team and always being there at all of our games, cheering us on. It's just wonderful to be able to like sit there and see that like our principal has like so much heart for the football team.
Wow, you see the brown nose going on? These kids are never going to get in trouble, are they?
Well, hang on. I'm getting ready to get you.
Zach I believe, was our ball boy, too, so we go way back. So,
because I wanted to follow up what they said for you, and it's just my perception after all these years. You have a tremendous amount of support from your administration.
Yes.
For the football program. But I mean, it's for everything that goes on down there. I mean, I see that.
Yes.
But there are programs in areas where that is not the case. How important is it to you as a head coach that you have that kind of support to do the right things, to get things done, and to also, I get the feeling, keep things between the lines? I know there's going to be questions later about new social media rules and all that. Somebody who kind of watches over, how does that help you?
It helps tremendously. I mean, as any head coach, one of the first things you're looking at is what the administration is like. I mean, do you have a supportive principal? Do you have an athletic principal? I don't know if that's really the right word to say that, but I mean, Miss Lamb has played athletics. She's been, she's been a coach, and her son's on the team, and me and Justin have been friends for a long time, and he keeps our stats. He's on the sideline. He's right next to us, for I don't even know how many years he's done it. I mean, it's nice. I can ask her, what do I need to say here? I mean, it helps me out a lot because, I want to say the right thing, do the right thing all the time. But and she gives me the answer. Doesn't it's not spiteful or anything like that. So it's just a healthy relationship, and it's calm, it's relaxing. Which I mean, that's one thing you don't have to worry about that, and that's. You've got a lot of worries as a coach. You got a lot of worries as a player, and that's one thing that the guys can relax and know that they have support, and then we as a coaching staff have support.
Hey, Coach, after last year, is there one thing that you as a staff focused on fixing the most going into this year to try to have a better season this year? If so, what is that?
I don't know if the word fixing would be right. Like I said last year, we played a lot of younger guys. The culture wasn't really great. So I think we did a lot of culture building. We did a leadership council this year. We did a lot of things to build the culture back, to get positive leadership back within our this year, our seniors or anybody on the team. So and just experience. These guys got a lot of experience last year. So I mean, in a public school, sometimes you're going to take your lumps, and you don't have that many seniors that are going to play. And we had a lot of sophomores that played last year. This year they're going to be juniors. These guys got a lot of experience last year. So it's a building. It's a building. It's not more or less of what did we do wrong. It's a building of what we did right and how can we get better.
For the players, how have you guys taken on that responsibility of trying to build up a culture again at Summit?
I feel like last year, seeing like how the seniors were kind of like down in the dumps all the time. Like I feel like in spring ball we started off like very confident, and we just carried it on to the summer. Like going into the season is probably the most confident I've been.
Starting off with just like our workouts and keeping the energy up, it's always the most important thing with helping ensure all of the guys are on the same page and the chemistry is there. So I would definitely say just working out together and keeping the energy high and always encouraging each other is what has helped rebuild our program.
I feel like, especially coming into the spring as a new player on the team, I feel like being able to help the the younger players as an older player, someone that's seen more play time, I feel like keeping them up and telling them that it's okay. I mean, they're only juniors, letting them know they have one more year. I feel like we as seniors have built something that they know that they can rely on, and I feel like that we're just doing a great job at building something for the year.
Hey, Coach, talk a little bit about how you have sort of managed sort of the one-time transfer issues that that exist now, and if you find it to be distracting, or do you find it to be something else that you need to plug into your coaching staff and your program so that you guys understand what the rule is, what you can and can't do, how you navigate that, all of those things that sort of come with a lot of the responsibilities that a head coach has?
Yeah, it's adding on, definitely. It's become more of a college feel, more than a high school feel these days. Whether people want that or not, I think that's just the reality of it. I mean, yes, we have to know the rules, but I mean, I'm not going out there recruiting. We're not going out there as a staff recruiting. I'm just trying to coach the kids we have, keep the kids we have. Maybe recruiting, if I say the word recruiting our middle school. getting the kids that are supposed to come to us, if that makes sense. Social media, maybe just we're trying to get these guys recruited, so we're trying to get our guys, exposure out there. So that's I've heard that question asked, about the social media thing. We are trying to, get our guys exposure of and show people, maybe even parents. I mean, these parents love to see their kids on social media also. So that's how we're using the social media aspect of it. And I know the rule is there. I know people are transferring, but I mean, it is what it is. If you want to come to Summit, come on to Summit. We're going to coach you hard. We're going to love you. If you want to leave because you're second string, go right ahead. You weren't with us anyway. Does that make sense? So, I mean, I don't know if that's too harsh, but, I mean, that's just the way I'm going to look at it as a head coach.
How much – what's the percentage, particularly in the off season? Because I know that once the season starts that, it's, week to week, game to game, you're trying to win, that week's game. But during the off season – maybe what is the percentage that you're devoting time to that issue, during the course of, maybe, whenever the season ends.
The issue being what?
Yeah, like
transfer?
All of that, yeah. So from the time the season ends, whenever that is to, the summer, maybe July, whether or not you have kids coming in or kids going out. Maybe how much time are you devoting to that issue during that off season? And do you feel like it's too much, or you guys haven't had that issue yet or that problem yet?
I think the only time I spend on it or our staff spend on it is going to speak to middle school kids, our middle school kids, or going to a middle school football game. And I'm harping on the middle school because that's the only really thing I'm really spending time on. I mean, again, we're with these kids. There's really no off season. We have 2 weeks off after your season ends. After that, we see these guys 4 days a week, every day. So, I mean, it's not like we're not going to see these guys, or we have the 2 week dead period in the summer. So we're all together. I mean, we're lifting weights, we're working out, or they're in another sport at our school. So I don't think there's really much time spent doing that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I answered that correctly, but I mean, the biggest thing for me, again, just getting exposure to our middle school kids, showing them what our program looks like, and just getting the kids that we're supposed to have and coaching the kids that we have.
Coach, I saw you guys had Keaton Wade out a few days ago at practice. What's it like having a guy with a legacy like that come out and talk to these kids and for the players? What's it mean to y'all to have somebody like him come out and work with y'all?
It's pretty cool because when I was a little kid, I was the ball boy on his team, and just seeing him come back and like preaching about the success they had and like what they did to get there is pretty awesome.
I definitely think it's really cool just coming from the aspect of me being a running back and a linebacker, and I feel a lot of similarity and like understanding when he like talks to our team and tells us, hey, we need to be more prideful or whatever else we need to do in order to succeed as a team. And it really goes a long way seeing somebody that has been successful come back and talk to us.
Yeah, I think Keaton coming back to our practice really meant something for us. Seeing someone from an earlier year come back, someone who also built something from maybe a team that didn't look so good. They still went out there and they did what the best they could, and it turned out pretty well. I think our team seeing Keaton can bring a spark in us and just help us play better, especially with him knowing the people he's played with and the people he's got to play with.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kid. I mean, he is what Summit football is all about. I mean, yeah, he was a heck of a football player, but people don't know this kid was getting his knee sewed up at halftime of a state championship game. So, I mean, there's just so much stuff, and he talked about pride and family of these guys, and, we got to have pride in the program, and we need to keep that program to the standard of what they had. So our guys now need to, understand that they had a lot of pride in the program. We need to keep that pride of our program, our Summit High School, up also. But, I mean, great kid. I mean, great role model for these kids. I mean, hopefully I think we're going to see a lot more of him around our kids I don't want to give anything away, but I'm staring at my principal right now. But they're going to see a lot more of him in the future.
All right, do we have any other questions? Coach, I do want to bring this up. Your staff, a little unique. You've got 2 former Williamson County head coaches on your staff. Talk about what they mean, and maybe the players speak to that a little bit as well.
Yeah, we did lose Kirk Taylor. Kirk Taylor's our defense coordinator. He is, I guess, retiring and moving to Florida. Lucky dog. But now Coach Derrick is going to step up in a major role as far as the defense. He's the new defense coordinator. You know, everybody knows Coach Derrick, head coach, knows a lot with Coach Hester at Ravenwood. Great guy. Just look forward to him. He's great to these kids. Also, Alex Melton, being a former head coach at Franklin, he's going to step up and have a larger role also on the staff. So, you know, really looking forward to those guys. I really think we have a great staff, and adding on to that staff, a good mix of older guys with experience and younger guys. Cooper Cook, who was also a piece of that state championship team, is an offensive lineman, so he's also on staff. So, you know, a good mix of older guys with experience, head coaching experience, and also younger guys that have been there, done that, that can, you know, that we can build on.
And this for the players. Is there a particular game that you got circled on your calendar this year?
Indy for sure. After the last 2 years they beat us, definitely want to get back at them.
Yeah, I can't lie. I'm ready for rivalry week, and Indy's definitely circled on that calendar.
I got all 10 circled on my calendar. I'm ready.
Spring Hill's the most important game.
Yeah. Good deal. All right, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys being here today. Best of luck against Spring Hill in week 1. And thanks again. All right. Next up is the Brentwood Bruins. All right. We are joined by Coach Clint Finch, who is in his 6 years as head coach and 19th year at Brentwood. Brentwood finished runner-up in 6-6A a year ago and was eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. Coach Finch is joined by Jones Merrill, Hudson Turner, and Parker Emerson. Coach Finch will make an opening statement, and then we will open it up for questions.
As always, I want to say thank you to the local media for taking time out of your weekend to be here and let, you know, not just Brentwood, but all the Williamson County teams talk about their program. It's so important, I think, to our families and our kids to know that they're able to get exposure and get some recognition for all their hard work. So know that, you know, obviously, and I know I probably speak for every coach in the county, you know, always reach out to us because we certainly want to highlight all the good things that are going on in Williamson County high school football. Thank you to Coach Whitlock and WCS Athletics for putting this day on. I know that when we started this, it was, you know, we were the only ones doing it, but if you notice, there's more and more counties doing this, so I think it says a lot about Williamson County to kind of be a trailblazer in the idea of these media days, so we appreciate that. We are coming in hot from Mama Bear Camp 2026, and you know, we did this a couple of years ago, kind of same thing, it fell on the same day, and I'll tell you now what I told you, I guess, back in 2024. I don't know how you feel about playing the Bruins, but you don't want to mess with the Bruins mamas, okay? Like, we did tackling today, we always let our senior moms tackle the senior players, and we've probably got some kids in concussion protocol this week, okay? So it was a good day for us. Obviously, we are especially excited about this year's group. We bring back a ton of guys that have had a ton of reps, either their sophomore year or their sophomore and junior year. I think last year we had a lot more question marks coming into media day than we do this year, but we're kind of back to being a pretty old team. We feel like we've got a really, really good senior class that has potential to be really, really solid leaders for us. All these three guys are representative of that. It's another tough schedule for us. You know, obviously when you're playing, you know, so many well-coached teams in the county with a lot of good football players and a very challenging out-of-region schedule as well. We have, you know, this year's schedule, if you look back last year, we're playing a state champion and 2 state runner-up. All right, so we know we have our work cut out for us, but you know, historically we've played some really good football teams, and we feel like if you're going to get into the playoffs, you need to be tested during the regular season. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to those challenges, and we're looking forward. You know, we've kind of told these kids we feel like our ceiling is pretty high this year, and that's exciting to know that's the case, but we also know that we have to kind of keep constantly working on being the best version of ourselves, putting in the work every day, and kind of trying to attain that level that we think we should be at. We're just going to be starting, just so you know, all 3 scrimmages. We have our first scrimmage this Friday night against Siegel, but all the scrimmages will be at home this year. Good scrimmage schedule: Siegel, Nolensville, and Blackman. And then, of course, we'll kick it off with Smyrna. But really happy with our kids. Great off season. So I'll kind of open it up for questions now.
Thanks for doing this too. We appreciate it. Coach, going to be returning a quarterback starter. Good quarterback for you. Do you cringe when you have to call pass plays now, or how's that going to work for you this year?
So, I think and I've always been a little bit more of an offensive guy. The honest truth is it's always going to start with your offensive line and defensive line, your success. But in a spread offense, your quarterback's going to be central to that. So Gavin Strang was a sophomore last year, and he'll be a junior this year. Gavin's had a tremendous offseason. He's picked up a number, and now we know what offers mean at this point in time of the year, but he's picked up a number of offers from a number of Power 4 schools. Gavin last year played, I think he was 6'5" and maybe 170, 175 pounds. He's now 6'6", 210. Had a great offseason. It's actually the first time since 2020 that we've had a returning quarterback. Okay, so from 2021 through 2025, they were all one-year guys. And the idea of having a kid come back and he's in his second year in the program is pretty huge, we think. I mean, they're obviously coming in as a sophomore, as a new player, as a transfer, as a sophomore, there's a huge learning curve. So we're excited about Gavin coming back. We feel like we were really talented in a lot of our skill positions. We feel like our offensive line's going to be very improved. So we're really looking forward. We think we can do some pretty cool things on offense this year.
All right, looking way far ahead, and I know you're going to dodge this one, but I'll ask it anyway. Last year, the way it shaped up for you, you were single-handedly set up to have to fund the bus system or the private bus transport industry in Middle Tennessee, having to go through Memphis again and again and again to get to Chattanooga. This year, it shapes up a little differently if you get that far. But have you fundraised for all the bus trips that you might have to take?
So we start budgeting through our 12th man, our Booster Club program in January, and there's always one of the big line items is potential travel cost. Fortunately, this year we have Henry County, but they're at home because Henry County had to be a charter bus game. So we're hoping to keep that travel budget down. What I tell everybody is it's real simple. If you can win your region, you can solve that travel budget problem in a hurry. And that's really what our goal is this year. We've been runners-up in the region for the last 2 years, and we need to take that next step and win that region this year, just because of the hard work that we've put in, but also to take a little pressure off the charter bus industry in Middle Tennessee.
Hey, Coach, you talked about Gavin, your quarterback, and came in January last year. And you said last year at media days he was dealing with an illness, and then that was something I think that he dealt with throughout the season. How much more time has he had on the field going into this second year, and how much of a benefit has that been to your offense right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's able to, he's able to go through spring practice. He was able to go through all of our summer workouts, obviously post-dead period, and that's been huge. Like we knew that when he had to be out for all those scrimmages, we knew that kind of put him behind on that learning curve, but not just kind of in terms of practices, in terms of being able to work, at private facilities in the off season has been huge. Being able to just kind of throw with our guys in a non-structured kind of scenario from time to time has been huge. So again, we feel like there's been just a tremendous growth from that kid, and we feel like one of the things that we talked about was the importance of kind of building chemistry with your receivers, right? They need to trust you, and you need to be able to trust them. And we think that he's done a really good job, as well as all of our receiver core, of helping build that trust. So again, we're really looking forward to some good stuff.
Is it Kyle Nabrotsky, your
Yes.
BYU commitment? Sounded
Yes.
like he had a major transformation with his body here recently. How have you noticed that as a coach, and what kind of season are you expecting out of him?
Well, and Kyle was here. He's actually sitting right back there, so he's the rather large individual right on the back. But Kyle was always kind of naturally had a great frame. One of the things that happens in the world of recruiting in high school football is that you just realize that measurables do matter. Okay, and Kyle was very blessed to have the height. Kyle's really blessed. 275, nod your head yes if I'm close. There you go. So you get a 6'6", 275 kid. Those are pretty good measurables, but Kyle's also a really solid athlete. He's a good, we talk to our kids about, hey, who do you watch? Who do you watch like in the weight room and on the field and how they handle their business? And Kyle's just another senior in a really talented senior group that handles his work really, really well. And super proud of the work he's put in and the way that he's kind of changed his physique and really just kind of adopted, this time last year he was still playing tight end, but really kind of has bought into the idea of being a big, tall, long offensive tackle and just, done really well for us.
Then I've got one for Jones. When you play the game of probabilities, your brother Walker and your brother Clayton both ended up at Austin Peay. Is that something that you're thinking about at all right now when it comes to your recruitment? And have you heard from them at all when it comes to maybe playing for continuing that Merrill tradition there?
So I would say I definitely have heard from them a little bit. It's kind of slower on the process side, but I think both of them being there, it shows me what that program's about, kind of what they're going through, and all the new players they've gotten in, their head coach, Coach Ferris, and all the winning that they've done. It's a great program, I would say, and just seeing them there, going through all the work, kind of getting like the ins and outs of the program just kind of helps a lot, I would say, and I think it's a possibility of where I end up.
Hey, Coach. We talked a little bit about the quarterback position and the wide receiver position, but what is your running back situation looking like this year?
So, quite honestly, Isaac Carano will play some running back, but he's also going to play some outside linebacker. We're probably looking at playing some more guys two ways this year, which has been kind of a departure from what we've done in the past. But, Isaac was a first-year guy playing running back last year. We think he's going to be obviously much more improved over there. Bobby Grimes is doing another good job. Bobby was just a sophomore last year, and he's doing a really good job kind of as an inside linebacker and running back. We have senior Will Ludecky who's doing a good job. We have a sophomore that actually played some running back for us last year as a freshman, Parker Cates. Okay, so we feel like we've got, do we have one single guy? No, but that's not a problem. We feel like we have multiple guys that can go in there and do some really, really good things for us. And again, fortunately for us, we feel like the offensive line has made leaps and bounds from last year, right? And at the end of the day, a good running back won't make a bad offensive line look good, but a good offensive line can make an average running back look really good. And we think we've got some good running backs and good offensive lines, so we're excited about that combination this year.
And flipping that over to the other side of the ball, Brentwood has always had really good defensive backs. Talk about your defensive line and linebackers this year.
So defensive line. So one of the things that we had to do is at the end of any season, you've got to sit down and kind of look at, okay, what was good or what was bad. And we felt like we kind of got manhandled too much last year, and the defensive line was one of those areas. Probably the offensive line was one of those areas as well. So really starting on January 7th or January 8th, whatever our first day in the offseason was, we really stressed that we've just got to sit there and get bigger, and we've got to get stronger. And our kids have really bought into that. We've had kids put on anywhere from 15 to 25 pounds in the off season. Defensive line, we are probably looking at guys like Tanner Robb and Addis Jugovic and Webb Ogden. But also guys like Waylon Raskulinitz, okay? Spell it phonetically. I can't spell it. Just do the best you can do. Waylon's an offensive lineman. They'll play over there a lot. Kyle Nabrotsky will play over there a lot. So definitely improve there. We return, obviously Hudson Turner here will play a lot of outside linebacker for us. Evan McComas, Dash Husband will all play a lot of outside linebacker. Isaac Carano. And then inside linebacker, Jack Nelson, Bobby Grimes, probably Boone Orem. But all those guys have a lot of snaps under their belt. And then on the back end, first of all, Parker and Jones will probably play some in the secondary, but you've got Gray McAdams at safety. You got Bryant Senna, 2 seniors that have been with the program doing a good job. Turner Weber is our corner and has just been lights out for us. Turner Weber has done an incredible job and really also done a great job at receiver as well. And then probably Coleman Manis, Jake Shostrom, a number of guys. So again, one of the things that we talk about is a lot of those guys are seniors that played a lot as juniors and have a lot of snaps under their belt. So we feel like, again, we just feel like we're so much more experienced this year in 6A football than we were a year ago. And again, defensive coordinator for us is Mike Kane, and I tell everybody that he's the best in the business. And so he's going to have some really good pieces to work with, and we know Mike and that defensive staff will do a great job.
Coach, I want to go back to this morning. You guys had the moms camp, and judging by the looks in some of the players' faces, they may have taken a shot or two from their moms.
Yeah.
Whose mom had the biggest hit?
So there were a lot of good ones, okay? There were a lot of good ones. I did tell some of the moms, this is your second kid or third kid. We need to show some improvement, okay, on this tackling, okay? Like, we got to get better at some stuff. But, I mean, I don't know. I think Leanne got after you a little bit, didn't she? I think Kristen did. I think Mama got after you pretty good, didn't she? Yeah, so we were pretty pleased, okay? I tell the moms every year, like, your kid's getting judged on your effort and ability. And so that kind of ramps them up a little bit. I think they encourage them to go a little harder.
Any potential linebackers among that group?
Again, I think I could take that group today. If we got in some kind of women's football league, we'd be pretty daggum good. I don't know if we have a quarterback in that group. That'd be the only thing.
For the players, the Brentwood-Ravenwood game, Battle of the Woods, rotates back to y'all's place this year. Just how excited are you to play that one more time? You know, a Halloween game right before the playoffs, all the pageantry that goes with that.
Why don't you go ahead, Parker, and we'll go down from that side.
I'd say we're super excited. You know, this will be our first time. Our freshman year was home, but first time in a while it's been a home game. So we're looking forward to that. But honestly, I treat it like another game. You know, there's a lot of noise built up around that game, but you really have to go into it and just be like, it's another team, another game. You can't get worked up like everyone on the outside does. But I'd say, yeah, we're super excited about it.
I would say kind of the same thing. Our varsity, us three, sophomore year, it was away, and last year's away. So this is kind of like the first year it's finally at home. And then we've got the new turf field, which, I mean, we're all excited about. I would say it's definitely a big game for us. I think the last 2 years that we were all pretty upset about that. And I think this year that we're very excited for that, and that we are very prepared for that as well.
Yeah, you mentioned it's like right around holiday, so everyone's anticipated. I mean, it's right around Halloween. Everyone's there. Everyone's in town. I mean, it's just a big game. Like Parker said, there's so much wrapped around it, but you just kind of block out the noise. I mean, we know so many people over at Ravenwood, just the players themselves. In these past 2 years, whether we've been able to compete in the first half or not, it never usually goes our way in the second half. But this year, I don't know, there's something about the team that we've prepared so much. Our class is just ready for everything, to be honest. We've gotten everything we need to be prepared, not just for week 10, but every other week, to be situated in the spot that we need to be, and just to do our best and go out there and show people what we can do.
And for Clint, is there anything right now about the TWSAA's recruiting rule that is like unclear or gray area, in just specifically in regards to what coaches can and can't do on social media?
So, man, you're going to get me in trouble. So here we go.
This is a safe place.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. I think, honestly, and you know, we actually talked back at the Tennessean days, or the Tennessee Titan media days, that, you know, I don't think the transfer rule has been quite as disruptive as some people would think it would be. I think the hardest thing for me, I am not as concerned about coaches involved in the recruiting as I am concerned about boosters involved in the recruiting, okay? And because that, how would you prove it, right? Like when you begin to look at the level 2, 3, and 4 potential violations, how do you prove that a daddy is bankrolling a team? You know what I'm saying? How do you prove that they aren't going out and actively, you know, seeking to I can't remember the exact word, but entice or encourage those transfers. And that's hard. You know, I kind of wish, to be honest, if there was one thing that we could do is, I think if your school is offering, with NIL, it's also legal, right? I mean, NIL is a real thing. I kind of wish sometimes that teams would say, okay, this is how much we gave out in NIL last year, okay? Because we know it happens, we know it's legal, but nobody talks about that, which makes me think maybe some teams are doing that and they kind of know they shouldn't do it. Does that make sense? So that's really my big concern, okay? And I know there's some coaches out there that get involved with it, and that's not right either. But I get really, really concerned about kind of these outside the school building influences and the effects that it has. There are, I think, people that can prey on some young kids and offer some young kids some advice that's really, really bad advice. And I don't know a great way to stop it, okay? Except maybe if you're putting up money through an NIL package, maybe that should be something that should be reported.
That's really good. Thank you. Is there with the recruiting rule, is there anything with regards to what coaches can and can't do on social media? Is that clear? Does that make sense to you guys? Or is that it's tripped up some people, but does that all make sense?
No, yeah. I think so. To be honest, I think at the end of the day, historically, all I know is that we've had kids reach out to us, and what we say is, we need you to come tour the school, okay? You need to go meet with our guidance counselors, and then we can sit down and talk to you. And I think every coach knows that, okay? Have some got caught doing it the wrong way? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think it's an issue of not being clear. I think, quite honestly, it's an issue of I won't get caught.
All right, I got one. I've known Coach Finch a long time. I know he's not just trying to develop you guys on the field, but off the field. Can you guys speak to his coaching style and what that means?
As you say, on and off the field. I mean, on the field, I mean, he's a great coach. I wouldn't want to have anyone other do it. It's the same with every other coach that we have on our staff. But off the field, too, I mean, these coaches, especially Coach Finch, care so much about us, like how we are, how we're recovering. They've cared about – he talks about us gaining weight. And it's not like – I mean, it's our place to do that, but he's taking responsibility of situating, like getting us meals after practices and stuff like that. Like, he's taking role to get us prepared off the field and ready for this season, but he just cares so much about us as players.
I would say Coach Finch is I think he's very well at, like, having everything together. Like, when we have practice, I think he's very good at – like we're doing this, and this. I think he's very organized with that. And I would say he has a great relationship with all of us. I think all the coaches, we have a very good bond with all of us and everybody. And I would say off the field, kind of pick off Jones, the gaining weight. I think last year we were very skilled, but I don't think we had a bunch of mass on us. And I would say this year, all the defensive coaches and offensive coaches, and especially Coach Finch, they were really pushing us to gain weight and have that strength to be able to, not get pushed around this year and come more prepared.
I just say Coach Finch, like, kind of has a quote he always says, it's how you do anything is how you do everything. And I'd say, like, just for us off the field, like, not only is he coaching us to be better football players, but he coached us to be better men. And Garrett Gregory, like our team pastor, if you will, he kind of does the same thing. They're just really harping on, like, there's more to life than football. And you really just got to, like, be a good person outside of football, alongside of being a good football player. And I'd say that Coach Finch, like, he does a great job of, like, reminding us that, like, football isn't everything, and we got to go be good sons, be good husbands when we're older, and things like that.
All right, we'll close with this. Parker, this one is specifically for you. America turns 250 years old this year. You're a Navy commit. It's obviously just a big commitment beyond football. Can you talk about that and what that means to you?
Yeah, there's so much good words I could say about Navy and the people down there. I got to go up to Annapolis like last March, and just being there, like, it just felt like home. It felt like a place I wanted to be. And just getting to know their coaches, like Coach Guillermo, Coach Cole, Coach Newberry, all the guys over there, like, they're awesome. They truly, like, love you. And then just, like, the thing about Navy is, like, I want to be a pilot when I'm older. So it just checks that box. And then just like they do it differently down there. Like I'd say out of all the teams in college football, they feel the most like a high school football team. Like they get guys, they go in there and they're there for all 4 years, and they build that brotherhood, and they just love each other and lean on each other. And so, I mean, I'm super excited, and yeah, I'm really grateful that they gave me that opportunity.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate you guys being here today. Best of luck the rest of the preseason against Smyrna in week 1, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for taking time out of your days, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, that's going to conclude Media Day. This will be archived online. We will send that link out. We've got some other exciting things coming out in WCS Sports. We will keep you aware of that. But thanks, media, for being here today. Great job. Appreciate it.